Bring this meeting of the Falmouth Board of Health to order, March 2nd, 2026. Would someone like to read the mission statement, please?
Sure. The mission of the Falmouth Board of Health is to protect and promote the health, safety, and well-being of residents and visitors of the town of Falmouth. The primary functions of the Board of Health to achieve our mission are to prevent and control disease, enforce state and local regulations, promulgate local health regulations, identify and protect from environmental hazards, and advocate for a healthy community.
All right, thanks, Amy. And is anyone recording? Besides the recording secretary and maybe the health agent? No. And a brief statement on rules of behavior. Thank you to the members of the public for attending this meeting. Public comments will be allowed at the discretion of the chair as time allows and will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Before providing comments, please state your full name. All comments must be delivered in a manner that respects others. And does anyone on the board or in the audience have any public comments on items not on the agenda today? Okay. Let's move to our first agenda item, 85 Brick Kiln Rd, continued from 126 and 29. Variance request from Falmouth Health Regulation 15.16 for new construction and a septic system approval request. Shared septic system with 40 units, totaling 62 bedrooms, located in a Falmouth Nitrogen Regulated Area. Applicants seek to install Amphidrome technology that is not listed on the Massachusetts Bannert list.
Good evening. For the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers representing the applicant. Project was before you a few weeks ago, at which time we discussed the use of the Amphidrome with the Amphidrome Plus to get to the 10 milligrams per liter of total nitrogen. At that time, we requested a continuance so that we could file a variance to use the Amphidrome with Amphidrome Plus technology to get to that 10 milligrams per liter. It is not currently on the list, but the FR Mahoney, the manufacturer, has submitted paperwork to DEP. So as we all know, DEP is not the speediest of processes at times, so it will take a while to get that name onto the list. So we're requesting a variance to use the Amphidrome with Plus to get to the 10 milligrams per liter. And if the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Go ahead, George.
Does the paperwork submitted to DEP note that it will be the Amphidrome Plus in all situations?
It's an Amphidrome with Amphidrome Plus.
Okay. So I looked at all the data because there's two things we're evaluating here. One is the technology possibility, and the other is the operator who's been operating them. I have about 17 systems that we got off the county website. Somewhere around half of them don't make 19. There's not a whole lot that make below 10. So the board really has to think about what we do with the technology that has promise but not proof. So I'm thinking that, you know, the only way to get around that is enough monitoring to prove that they can keep this. There aren't a whole lot of pluses around where we have data from.
The majority of the pluses are in groundwater discharge type system, bigger systems, in order to get below that 10. I would say all, or I'll say 95% of what's on that list, if not all of them, are the older systems that were the 19 and 25 target thresholds back in the day. So they weren't meant to be 10.
Well, they weren't making 19, which was what I was saying. So two things we're evaluating. One is technology, two is the operator. So these were all from the same operator, and the ones that are supposed to even make 19 were not making 19. So that's somewhat of an indication of the quality of the operator, the ability of the operator to understand your system and operate it in accordance with the approval that was given at the time. So in order to, take something that's not on the Bannert list, I think we need to think about what kind of monitoring would be required. And the other piece is the assurances.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So you can do monitoring, but what if target's not being hit? How would that be handled?
Well, the FR Mahoney rep said they'd be willing to sign a letter, provide some type of certification that the system would be below 10. They want it to be below 10. They will work with the operator if there are issues. I mean, I designed the system back in the day at Hwy. And we operated it at my former company. It was an Amphidrome and Amphidrome Plus. It was between 3 and 5 milligrams per liter of total nitrogen. So the system works with an operator that's familiar with the technology and wants the system to work. Those systems there, I can't speak to them. I wasn't the operator of any of those systems, so.
Yeah. So
I know it does work, and I know it can get below 10 without a problem.
Okay. And to be clear, so who's on the hook if it doesn't function? Who's going to have to pay to make it function? As you know, with the auto camp, they had to spend quite a bit of, it was totally different circumstances, but they had to spend quite a bit of money pumping out effluent until they could make the whole system work. It's, so there are risks with putting in something that may or may not make levels. So whoever is financially responsible for that should assure themselves and then assure us that that's going to work and they're going to be able to make it work.
I mean, I would assume it's going to be the developer. He's, like we stated last time, it's a rental. It's not, there's no homeowners association, nothing's being sold. He's keeping it, he's renting it, it's part of his portfolio. So he's going to be responsible. So if the system isn't working and the board or the state issues some type of fine or some type of order, consent order to say, hey, you need to get to this, he's going to be responsible for that.
Okay. And how familiar is he with all of this?
Familiar with how the system works, or
What his risk is or is not, how
I would say this is the first time we've used the Amphidrome system, so we're not familiar with it at all. We are relying on the experts and
can you remind us your name and what your
Nick Marioni.
your
Oh, and actually,
yeah,
if you could use the microphone, please.
yeah.
I'm Nick Marioni, representing the owner, 85 Brick Kiln LLC.
Okay.
And we're not familiar with this at all. This is the first time we've done anything other than a fast system, which,
Okay.
so we're relying on the experts we're hiring to tell us that these will work. And we're comfortable with what they're telling us at this point, but, the pessimism I'm hearing, of course, makes us nervous. So
It's not pessimism, it's just, data talk. And when you don't see data on a system of this size, and you realize the history that we've had with the Amphidrome Plus at another location, albeit was a whole different situation, but it took a long time to resolve. So resolving something here where Amphidrome Plus goes in from day one is probably different, but, I'm from Missouri, it's like, just show me, I need some
but
data.
from what I'm understanding is it's resolvable. The question is, what do we have to do to resolve it? Is whether it's more filters or whatever we have to put in that makes it.
Okay.
Did you have some?
Let me
I'm
know if
gonna
you do, 'cause I can't see.
Just for discussion, I'm gonna suggest that we ramp up the monitoring of this so we know very soon whether it's working and how it's working. And under many pilots, which this is sort of a pilot in accordance with our regulations, it would be a pilot. In fact, it would probably be a pilot under their situation because they're over 2,000 gallons. But under 10,000 gallons that we require monthly monitoring for a couple of years till we figure out, this is 40 units.
It's big, yeah.
It's big.
Monthly does seem reasonable.
I was actually going to suggest monthly as well.
Yeah. And do we have, I don't have this packet item in front of me. Do we have the checklist from the owner indicating that they understand all of their responsibilities? Okay. And I mean, do we need anything beyond that?
I wouldn't mind seeing the application they put into DEP, because we're being told they have a submittal into DEP to be on the banner list. And I mean, not that I don't believe it's done, but I'd like to see the content of that, to see what they're saying to DEP, when the others, two technologies that are down around our level submitted something to DEP. They were submitting based on an approval of 10 or 11 milligrams per liter, depending on which of those two technologies you talked about. Our regulation, we have been saying they have to get less than 10. I'd like to see some reference to what they're submitting to DEP under their banner. Is it under 10 is what you submitted for?
It's 10.
It's 10.
And but we do have the example of, what we now believe to be a successful system at AutoCamp. I mean, last numbers I recall were more like 3 or 4 milligrams per liter. I haven't seen anything recently, but
I believe when that system first started, and again, I didn't design it, I'm just kind of remembering what went on, that was just strictly an Amphidrome.
you're correct.
And then they added the plus.
Right.
So when we discussed various systems at this site, we said, or I said, you need an Amphidrome with the plus.
Yeah,
I'm not going to design just the Amphidrome because I don't believe you can get to 10,
right,
because then it's going to come back on me at some point.
right.
So,
Yeah, and that was a good, AutoCamp was a good test. It didn't meet 10 without the plus.
you need
And
that
it ultimately
polishing to
did.
get there.
Sorry?
You need that plus, the polishing,
Yeah,
to get it to below 10.
yeah. And you have the example from Hui.
From Hui, yes.
The flow there is,
That flows, design flows 32, I think it's probably around 16 plus or minus,
what's the flow here?
6,800.
And if we did approve this and there were challenges getting there, if you couldn't get there, then you'd have to do something different. It could be,
I think that's with any system that gets installed.
that's true.
So whether it's this system, whether it's a
That's true.
system on that list, if you're not meeting the 10, someone has to fix something to get to the 10
Yeah.
in order to meet your regulations.
I mean, there's benefit in increasing the number of options on the banner list.
Right. Yeah, I would say then we should establish a precedent for anything not on the banner list to have monthly sampling for 2 years.
You're going to need to do that
Yeah,
anyway.
and I think whoever the operator is for the system, they're going to have to be testing weekly, whether that gets submitted to you, but they will be testing, as they're going out there to make sure the system's up and running, getting to where it needs to
Well,
be. So-
what we would insist on is monthly sampling in a certified laboratory. I understand a lot of field tests, they're good tests, but they're not certified.
And I think that's an appropriate condition. I would have no arguments with that, and so,
And so you're not going to be the operator?
I'm not the operator, no.
The operator is the same operator as
Environment.
these data.
Okay.
That's why I said there's really two evaluations to think about. One is, since the company itself is committed to support the operator, that's fine, but, the technology we don't know about, and if one was to go at 19 milligrams per liter was the old Amphidrome, that was their target, and half of them don't meet that from a certain operator, then you start thinking, okay, what's the real problem? Is it the technology of the operator? We're not going to parse that here, but it's one or the other.
Yeah.
The operator is easy to change.
Did any of those have the plus?
I think the only plus we have in town that we track is the AutoCam.
Okay.
But
Kevin, you were
these
saying-
other ones they're permitted at 19,
Right,
Right.
and half of them were not making 19.
right.
You said that Hui has an Amphidrome, is an Amphidrome Plus?
It's a plus.
It's Amphidrome Plus.
There's two. Okay.
So do you
It's
have
a
any?
groundwater discharge
All
permit.
the others are groundwater discharge, which are not reflected on a county database.
Right, but do you have data for that you could share?
I personally don't, because I'm not at that company anymore, but it does get submitted to the town monthly when we submit it. Now, where it goes,
I don't,
I'm not putting Scott on the hot seat here, so.
I don't get it.
DEP certainly gets it.
Yeah, DEP gets it.
And they're pretty quick about issuing notices of noncompliance when something isn't reaching it.
Yeah, but it's permitted for 19 though, right?
No, it's
No.
permitted, it's a 30-30-10, it's a groundwater
Yeah,
discharge.
groundwater discharge is always 10.
Okay.
So two examples in town that have the plus
Right.
that are making 10.
So in order to keep it consistent for those that are not on the Bennett list, that come to us for new construction, I believe we should require monitoring monthly for 2 years they can request to reduce that after 2 years, should all our
Right.
the numbers look good. So I'll make a motion to allow this system, finding that they have an application before DEP for less than 10 for the Bannert list, that the condition would be that they monitor, finding that this technology has some proven record, at least through groundwater discharge permits, that technology can get less than 10. And we have received all the paperwork that the owner understands the liability should it not meet that.
Do you have a second for discussion?
Second.
Uh,
So you have provided that there's a monthly certified, right?
Monthly-
That's in a,
Monthly testing by a
Right.
certified
Yeah,
lab.
certified laboratory.
can we also get a copy of the DEP filing?
I don't think so. I mean, he's saying you got the filing, but the filing, I'm not gonna,
It's probably public record.
yeah, public record
Okay.
that they,
I wonder if it'd be useful to also require the written communication from the manufacturer with their assurance that they're going to help the owner to reach compliance if there are
this
any
would be the
issues.
manufacturer.
I
It'd be
believe
a
you could
farmer owner.
make that a condition.
Okay, 2 conditions, monthly monitoring and certification from the owner, from the technology owner that they will support the operator and the operation of the system.
All right. Anything else? Anything from the audience? Okay, all in favor? Oh, sorry. All
Okay, go ahead and vote.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, so that won't be until obviously you've got effluent running there, because you haven't even started construction. So it might be a while before
Right.
you start seeing stuff, just
Oh,
to let
yeah.
you know. Okay.
No, we
In
understand.
about a year or so, probably.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
I'll do that, Tim. Tim, just leave it.
Just
I'll
trying to help you out, Scott, you know?
Get away from that podium.
Have a good night.
You too.
Aye.
Okay, next item is 2 Solar Way, building permit application, room determination, and variance request regarding IA system for an increase in flow if so determined. Existing assessed 3-bedroom home with an existing composting system and a 4-bedroom septic system located in a Falmouth Nitrogen Regulated Area.
Scott has a comment.
So this one's interesting. Are you for the solar? Oh, she's not here. Okay, so we already have composting toilets,
Yeah.
like I said in here. If you want to look at the building permit application, I called that an increase in flow. It sort of looks like an in-law suite to me. So
And it's going to have a standard toilet, correct?
It's gonna,
That's the
yeah.
request.
Plus, to me, it was an increase in flow, so I'll just show you on the screen. So I reviewed the building permit, and I considered it an increase in flow, and that is this room here. It's private, bigger than 70 square feet, it has a second means of egress through the egress window, it's got a washer, dryer, it's got a shower, it's actually got a kitchenette, it would function to me as a bedroom, so I counted that as an increase in flow. Okay. When I do that now, under the regulation, now it requires denitrification. The individual, this is not something you're gonna see much again, is in Alchemy Farm, all right, has an already composting toilet system. So, I guess the question is, do they need to put an IA system with this? She had also provided, which was really cool to see, let me see if I can find it,
Analysis,
some analysis done.
one
It was
sample.
One sample.
Yeah.
So I think I'm speaking for the applicant, because the applicant's not here. I did email the applicant about the change of venue, change of time and change of time after the storm last week, that, we didn't be having it. So I think the first thing is, you do agree with me counting that as an increase in flow? And secondly, would they be okay with the existing system with composting toilets? I know there's not an approval from DEP on it, but you can vary from your regulation in saying that this is a similar thing. But you got a lot of things about precedent and other things to think about with this, and so that's why we're here tonight. So I'll try to answer questions, but I don't feel that comfortable answering questions for the applicant. That's where we left it.
So I have a technology question. What is underneath the receptacle for the composting toilet? It just seeps to the groundwater, to the
No.
soil?
Now it goes into a compost bin,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the compost bin can collect fluid they call tea,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
possibly a bad metaphor there.
Yeah.
And the tea can either be discharged to the system, if it's a household of 2 people, probably create about 200 gallons a year of tea. That would go into the system. And the compost by code can be just buried on site as long as it's 6 inches down.
Yeah.
However, if it's considered for nitrogen removal, everything has to move off-site except they're real fuzzy on the tea.
That's exactly
Compost needs
what
to be
I'm...
managed. The tea could stay there.
So do we know in this system whether the tea goes into the septic system? I
We
just
do
want
not
to
know.
know whether it's reflected in the 9 milligrams per liter we're seeing there,
We do
Or-
not know that.
if it's additional load.
It's very infrequent that you'll get 200, it's 250 gallons a year.
Yeah.
So you think about maybe half a gallon to a gallon a day at the
Uh-huh.
most. And in the summer, you might not get any, depending on, it's all temperature driven. And also the load, the urine load, whatever. But it's not on the banner list for a reason, because it's really nitrogen control, because the present code allowed you to dig it in on site. And the discharge of the tea could be anything. If it discharged to the system, then of course it's nitrogen that you're not measuring. I mean, if you took that measurement, for instance, that we saw, the data we saw, right before it discharged, you'd probably get less than 10. But if it discharged to the system, because it just pumps up to it, so.
When it gets full enough.
When it gets full enough, sometimes there's a receptacle in the basement, and sometimes, depending on whether it's a Clivus or a Phoenix,
The Phoenix.
a Phoenix, you actually recycle it up on top of to keep the compost moist. So you get less, but really, I mean, I've seen 200 gallons a year from 2 of the ones that we monitored under the project that Falmouth did years ago.
Is there any conclusion from that project about nitrogen?
If it was just if you're just looking at gray water, it's gonna be variable, but generally it was down to 10 to 12 milligrams per liter.
To
But
include
thinking about what the real concentration is, because composting toilets, if you assume that's a 25% reduction in water, then you're really concentrating the rest of the nitrogen in there. So 10 to 12 would be a good number. But we, of course, specify based on concentration.
Though we do have our mass loading option in the
Yeah.
regulation. Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
10 to 12 including the T discharging or without it? Just gray
Without,
water?
we were
Just gray
taking the
water.
T away.
Okay.
Because we were measuring it and seeing whether it would compost. Actually took a bunch of it up to Maine Compost. Maine has a school of composting to see whether that would be good enough to heat up a pile to get thermophilic, breakdown for pathogens. And the conclusion was, no, it's not strong enough. I forget the numbers we were getting, somewhere around, I think it was 200 or 300 milligrams per liter, but pretty small amounts.
And the compost that can be buried on site, what's the nitrogen concentration
We
there?
never looked at it because it's solid. It's a little hard to get that stuff out of there. It's allowed on site only, again, in areas not meant for, see, they do get a 660 credit, but you have to manage the residuals in that situation.
Sorry, 660 credit?
660 means they can put 6 bedrooms on an acre. Under the old regulation, remember, nitrogen limitation was only for drinking water.
Yeah.
So they said 4 bedrooms an acre would result in less than 10 at the property line.
Yeah.
From the groundwater, or less than 5, I think they shot for. So we call them, that's a 440 an acre, you could get 660 if you had an IA system, 6 bedrooms an acre. So they're called 660 systems. So you can do that. However, we are now in a whole new era where 19 milligrams per liter or 50% removal is off the
Enough.
table.
Yeah.
And we're looking for more. That's why we have bannered on our discussions. So I think if we followed the same and allowed something like this, we would have to insist on the same monitoring.
Might also have to insist on the T going into the system.
Yeah,
And
T going somewhere
And solids
else,
going offsite, maybe.
off-site.
Yeah, offsite.
Where could they take it?
Could be pumped out, could be taken to a treatment plant, could be pumped out as you would pump anything out.
You'd want the same with the sludge. Whatever they do with the T, they'd want to do with the sludge.
Well, the compost has been, and I don't know whether Phoenix has this operation, but with Clivis, they actually come and take it out and they take it off Cape.
And it-
So it's still a little sticky about composting toilets. I'm sure we're gonna see some others that wanna do it. Composting toilets in conjunction with urine diversion.
Right.
So we ought to establish how it is we're going to show that they meet the spirit of the banner.
Mhm.
And I think monitoring at a distribution box is the only way to do it. So then it's just what frequency.
I mean, it's a single-family home, we're not talking about 40 units.
That's true, but it's a technology that's asking for banner.
No, I'm saying is I would say perhaps a less frequent monitoring would be than monthly.
Well, I would say that except for the fact that, I'll just go back and forth
Yeah.
here on it. This is a technology where sampling every 3 months would probably not get you the resolution on,
No, I was thinking I was thinking every other month,
Well,
so 6 times a year rather
Wouldn't
than.
give you the resolution to catch the T distribution to the system, but I think we just said we might require them to remove the T
Right.
yeah, if-
along with sludge
Right.
or
So then
separately
it
from
should
sludge.
be-
In that case, it's
Yeah,
pretty good, right?
yeah.
it should be more consistent.
So here would be some of the issues with removing the liquid. The liquid sits in a tank in the basement, small tank, just maybe a 20 or 30 gallon, whatever. That should be hauled by somebody licensed to haul it.
Mhm.
That's gonna be pretty expensive to get somebody to come and suck that out every time you see it fill up.
How often will
we're not going to be able to know exactly
No.
when that happens.
Right.
I was taking about 20 gallons maximum every month, because on the Falmouth project, I was there every month. I would take about 20 gallons, and occasionally they would call up and say before I got there, the tank is full. So that was tightly managed because it was a demonstration project. We have a urine demonstration project starting up that will probably have very similar type issues. But composting toilets, I don't know how we'll assure that that stuff gets where it should go.
Great.
So, George, you said that that the denitrification in these systems it's about 25%? So it's the same, more or less the same as a Title V?
I didn't refer to it as denitrification, but
Okay.
the side streaming of nitrogen results in a number at the discharge point of 10 to 12 milligrams per liter. So you're side streaming all that stuff.
Right,
I only
okay.
measured at the D box.
Okay,
I also measured the T, and I didn't do anything with the compost because of the expense of trying to figure out
Right.
how much nitrogen
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
there.
So at the D box, it's all gray water.
Right, at that point, yeah, people are gonna pee in the shower, you'd say you'd lie about other things too. It's just,
no, that's fine. People pee in the pool.
well, that, I could see a little difference there.
Anyway, all right, let's pull it back. So,
In this case, however, we have a regular toilet being discharged to that system. It's new construction and they want a same flush toilet. It isn't going into that compost.
because it has to be pumped up from the basement?
Yeah,
Is that
could
why?
it be?
That's all I have for info. I don't have the plumbing permit. I don't know exactly what unit they're putting in.
It's probably because it's in a basement and has
Probably.
to be pumped.
Yes.
You could insist that it goes to the compost because there are vacuum flush toilets that do it.
Okay.
Okay,
There were two in the project that I monitored, and we have 3 out at the base.
Okay.
They take a little bit more water with them, but they feed our compost bin.
I have not had any conversations with the individuals, so I don't know any detail other than,
so we may end up continuing this
Yeah.
because the person's not here, but we could provide feedback to Scott.
And say, look into it. And it was a guy on Lakeshore Drive, and he was a tinkerer. He had a flush toilet like you'd see in a ship. It's just like the ones out the base, and with a 12-volt battery for backup. So it was always charged. The electricity went down, he could still use it.
Yeah, so our suggestion, Scott, since we are talking about new construction, would be to investigate whether what did you call it, a what flush?
Vacuum flush.
Vacuum flush could be used in the basement and the effluent going to a composting toilet facility as well.
And they'd be monitoring at the D-box. We got to do it. And I do think, at least for a year then, monthly monitoring, because we'll have no idea the efficacy of that. And as soon as we deem that equal to abandon it, you're going to have a flood of applications, so we should have more data than one data point.
Would we require, so right now, that tank must be set up so that it can automatically discharge to the septic system, correct?
It probably is that
So-
way.
But we don't know that,
Required.
so that's
I
information that we
mean,
need.
Right.
it is out on solar, so a lot of people take it and dump it on their compost heap.
Right, yeah.
And as I said, we did the work up in Maine, and they said, yeah, you could do that. It isn't going to cook anything. It isn't going to heat it up, even with a lot of greens. In fact, they did that with urine too. brought that up there and did some work with it. But, so we got to figure out to close the loop, the information gap, really. I mean, because if we allow this without good sort of information surrounding it, everybody's going to want to come in and say, yeah, we'll do it too, we'll do it too, we'll do it three.
Cheaper.
For sure.
We just need to know.
Well, I mean, because we, you know, if we were to mandate the removal of presumably the T is the,
Yeah.
or how, yeah, we just don't know what fraction of nitrogen is in the solids. You know, it's essentially functioning like a black water tight tank, where it's just, you're taking all of the nitrogen. In that case, it's a zero discharge, so taking all of the nitrogen off site.
If you move the compost off-site, yes.
Yeah.
So the other information to pass back to them is that we need to know what currently is being done with the tea and with the sludge. And,
With the compost, I
The
think we call it
compost.
compost.
and, you know, I mean, yeah, if there is a reliable and safe way to remove those and dispose of them in a way that's safe and effective, then it should be really good at
Right.
removing nitrogen.
It's going to follow probably something like the urine diversion,
Yeah,
because that urine's going to have a home where it goes.
yeah,
And I think under the grant, the county is going to put that out and take it to a disposal area where, I mean, there are companies now through MDR can actually process urine for fertilizer. We'll probably, out there will be a temporary storage place where they'll experiment with it for other things, but some places are gonna make struvite out of it, some are gonna concentrate and spread it, but that's MDR. Department of Agriculture is
Yeah.
figuring that out. And DEP is already all right with them hauling it, because they got license to haul it.
but composting toilets are not in that equation.
They're
at all.
not in the equation yet, but something like the T, which could theoretically be pumped out at a similar,
Yeah.
And used to make fertilizer as well,
Right.
Yeah.
possibly, if you sterilize it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could just put in whatever system they're using for the urine diversion in terms of
right,
a storage tank, just a larger storage tank,
right.
so that you're not looking at a monthly or slightly less than monthly, depending on occupancy,
Right.
pumping. I mean, if you're talking about pumping twice a year because you got a 100-gallon tank,
Yeah. That sounds
Um,
bad.
that's a more reasonable.
Right.
well-
And just disconnect it from the septic system entirely so that that is not an option.
That's really the way it should be.
So I don't know, you could also preface your decision if you approve it by stating that this is, anything going forward, they'd be putting in a new composting system. This one already it's almost like looking at somebody who's got an existing IA, so to speak. So, you know, other thing too is whether this sets a precedent. This is an existing
Yeah,
attempt at nitrogen reduction, as opposed to somebody later on saying, well, you approved 2 solar ways. You say, well, that was already a pre-existing. We're trying to make it work with something that was pre-existing. So I'm thinking about in terms of precedent setting.
I think what complicates this one is the fact that right now, the application says they want a standard toilet going into that.
True, yeah.
And we know that it's probably, as you said, it looks like it's being set up as like an in-law kind of thing. So now you've got 2 different families
Yeah.
there. You know, so we're overlooking the fact they need a double compartment tank, that whole thing, because that 1/2 isn't even going into the system.
Yeah.
So
Well, to answer-
that would be easy to vary, but the fact is, they have a toilet going into that system now.
And a
so that's a
kitchen sink.
precedent
And a
we
kitchen
don't
sink,
want to
right.
set. But we could set a precedent for increasing flow, but installing a composting toilet instead if the proper controls are in place, which, and those controls are a little bit hard for us to monitor, to know whether they're being followed is
Right.
the biggest issue, I'd suggest. But the benefit could be significant of again, having another option
Yeah,
and a lower cost
Yeah.
one,
Sure.
For sure.
yeah,
yeah,
much lower cost
yeah.
plan. I wonder, thinking about this in the previous one, whether we need to modify our brand-new regulation a little bit to open up the possibility for innovative solutions.
It seems like people are doing that already, but you're
They
right,
are,
we
but
can-
it would be good to recognize that very clearly, because I think we're pushing way ahead and way faster than the DEP is moving.
Yeah.
DEP is moving very slowly on this.
Mhm.
And thinking about this in a longer-term solution, I mean, we're fostering innovation in all of this stuff. And if we can continue that, then we'll thinking about some of the other discussion points in terms of cost control for the control of nitrogen.
One of the reasons I think that DEP moves slow, I won't speak for them because I've been the benefactor of their slowness many times. I think that their biggest issue should be our biggest issue, which is verification of
Yeah.
the technology
Yeah,
and the means to verify it. And the means has always been data production. So now we have somebody now on the edge getting right near the point where we're saying, boy, that's about as good as you can get on site. We really need to have, the verification process is going to have to be pretty robust. And unfortunately, those that want to make that, they're gaining advantage. First of all, we got 40 units going in there. I mean, so there's some advantage they're going to get. They're going to have to really be the innovators up front that pay for the monitoring of their systems to validate the technology. Because, I mean, theoretically, like the Amphidrome Plus, yeah, it's got all the process controls you want. It's basically like a mini treatment plant. But the big unknown, operator.
Right.
but also the advantage there is there's already an established system for reporting everything.
Yes.
Goes to the county system and all that. For this,
Right.
we would need to require,
Yeah.
so first of all, we can't make sure that there's somebody available to come and pick it up and do something useful with it.
That's right.
We don't, I mean,
Right.
maybe there's one person who can do it now and they go out of business or something.
Well,
Then what
A
do we
septic-
do?
a
they
septic
pump,
hauler
they
take it.
pump the porta potties.
Right.
About the same volume
Just a
as
regular
what they would be
septic hauler.
pumping out of this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so we know there's ones that could do it.
right.
It's just a matter of, one, it's gonna cost, and two, is the person gonna do it? Anytime there's something you could say, well, I could kick that bucket over in the backyard, or I could call somebody and have it picked up for $50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a certain percentage you're gonna kick that bucket over in the backyard. There's
Yeah.
just no two ways about it. And our role as, and DEP will insist on this being our role, how do you make sure it's all being done right?
So you'd have to have an alarm that says what the volume is and that it's full, and then there has to be a record that somebody actually pumped that volume.
Right,
And then that's sent to
that's
county
right,
or to Scott.
right.
And the larger tank.
And this, with composting toilets, it's kind of a horse for different color, because there's two residuals left.
Yeah.
There's a compost which you might take that out every 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe every 2 years. The liquid, which you could take, theoretically be taking some out each month, depending on how much beer you drink. And then there's the whole idea of making sure that that residual, which is probably the higher nitrogen content that we're worried about.
Seems like a really safe bet. It's gonna be soluble.
Yeah, it's all soluble, it's either ammonia or nitrate, one of the two. It's
Yeah.
pretty high in nitrate, actually, which surprises me, but I guess composting is aerobic. so
Composting is aerobic, yeah.
It nitrifies, but, you know, you don't want that being just dumped out, so.
Yeah, so the liquid would be easier to track, the solid, if we could find some data that's indicated that it doesn't have very much nitrogen in it, then we can just require the normal burial.
Yeah, that compost, if you're doing it every 2 years, you're eating too much fiber.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Because, I mean, I've seen systems 3 years, I've talked to owners, 4 years, 4 years, they haven't touched it, and they're dumping sawdust down there too.
So,
Okay.
I guess we've provided sufficient feedback to the owner. We're gonna continue this. But when it comes back again,
I think they should also, when they come back, think about how they are going to assure to us that that liquid gets pumped out.
did you get that,
Have they
Scott?
had it done before? Have they called anybody?
Thanks.
Do they know what it's going to cost?
Right.
Those things,
What are they
because
doing now?
we're going to focus on the residuals.
Did you get that last part,
Sorry,
Scott?
I was trying to lower the fan because it's
Yeah,
summertime.
yeah. So he's saying the third.
When they come back, we're going to focus on what are you doing with the tea and
Yeah,
the
no, I
compost
have
now?
that, yeah.
And
Who
what will
hauls
you
it?
do?
What assurances can we have?
Yeah, no, I
All
took that
sort of
note,
thing.
yep.
Can we look for a deed restriction?
Well, there's probably a deed notice on that anyhow, because all IAs have to have deed notices that there is a system there. What I was curious about in that particular case was they have a 4-bedroom system in there, and it says designed for 4 bedrooms.
Yeah, I think so.
I see you have it designed for 3. No?
Well, it says
4.
total leaching capacity, 440, it's over 440, the
Yeah,
system
but-
has 4-bedroom
440.
capacity.
Remember what happened with DEP with the application when the code changed? They said, how many bedrooms was it designed for? Does it say 2 bedrooms on there?
It says 4.
It says, system has a 4-bedroom capacity.
Capacity, but what was the works disposal application say? Because that's where DEP went when the code changed in 95.
Design criteria, 3 bedrooms.
Well, design flow provided, 443.6.
Doesn't matter what the design flow provided is. It's what the application said when they put it in.
So they could reapply, say, hey, can this be a 4? And I would say certainly, because there's no, if there is no restrictions. Assuming they have town water, assuming they're not in the zone 2, it's a 4-bedroom septic system.
And they're not in the zone.
Well, they
two,
can get
right?
another permit to say 4. I wouldn't have to hold them to 3. It's a 4-bedroom septic. Now, you couldn't do this in a pre-95 code system because they weren't calculated the same way. It was a different gallon, different square footage.
So when was this put in?
2002. So it was put in, so how we generally look at it is it's after 95, it's calculated for 4.
Right.
It's actually a 4, because we calc the same way since 95. Before that, you don't take a leach pit and try to sort of reverse engineer the calc, but I would on a system that's post 95. So yes, they did write down 3, but they put it in a 4-bedroom design.
Do they have a well on the property or no? Town water? Must be.
Well, I don't know, I didn't get into that detail with it, but it's 11,000, sorry.
And they definitely are not in a zone 2, right?
I don't think they are, but Edgeville Road. Should have said it on the plan. Give me one sec.
We've got a water line coming in from the street.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
they're
water.
on town water.
They're on town water.
Yeah, it still doesn't mean they're not in zone 2. I think they're just south. Gifford Road is where you start getting into a zone 2. They're out. Not by a lot, but they're out.
All right. All right, so anything else on this?
No.
Have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue for
2 solar.
Solar Way.
Second.
To when?
So that's a good question, because, you know, I just submitted our yearly schedule to FCTV, which do we want to start reversing it and going, do you want to skip? Like, next week would have been our normal, because last week we had canceled. So this is our skip week. You guys tell me what you'd like to do. I don't know.
Well, we need to make sure they're going to be here too, right?
I will reach out.
Yeah.
Well, you compare it to a date not certain, I could reach out and see when they
Right,
want to
see
do it.
what they want.
How's that?
I think that makes sense.
Okay,
I am holding up their building permit. I would assume they probably want it done sooner rather than later.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, that works. To a date not non-certain. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. And we'll figure out the date of our next meeting when we get to future business, unless we need it before. Okay, next item is Stop and Shop 20 Teaticket Hwy, seeking numerous variances from the plastic reduction regulation. That's what you're here for.
That's what I'm here for. Good evening, Patrick. I just said my husband's name. Christina Dwyer, here representing Stop Shop Supermarkets. I actually work for our parent company, Ahold Delhaize, but I've been the director of food safety for Stop and Shop for over 20 years. So, here in regards to the plastic waiver, we submitted a waiver with our food retail license. And I think you all have a copy of that waiver. And I reached out to the health department specifically just to understand if they've received the waiver, if they looked at it, if they had any consideration. And they responded to me that internally they could waive plastics 1, 2, and 5. So I'm really here presenting the other streams, the other numbers of plastics for a waiver. So I did want to get clarification on that were we okay with the waiver for 1, 2, and 5, and then we'd be asking for a waiver on the other, so 3, 4, 6, and 7.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, we would grant you the I'd have to speak with Morgan, but I believe she would have granted the waivers for the ones that you requested.
Yes.
Especially initially as we work through with what can be replaced and what can't be, as we learn on ourselves. But the ones that
Yep.
can't be, that's why you're here today. There's certain ones that have to come to the board.
Yeah.
okay, so Morgan did go through it
Yeah,
with them, and
yeah, she did.
there was,
Yeah, Morgan's been my.
She would have done that
my
as part of the permit application in December.
yeah.
Morgan was lucky to be in Florida last week, so I haven't really had a chance to talk to her.
Yeah.
That was a good week, too.
Yeah, it was a good week to be away.
Yes, it was. We had a lot of stores without power, so yeah, it was crazy.
I was thinking about that, and Scott's comments about the freezers with the alarms in the past and all that sort of thing. It couldn't have been fun.
Yeah, my team was out, obviously making sure things were safe in the stores, so yeah,
Yeah.
it was busy.
Amy,
and
I'm
we-
looking at
So,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we forwarded a presentation that just kind of outlines what products that we do use under the other plastic classifications. A lot of them have, food safety characteristics, hot holding characteristics, for more longevity, right? Understanding that a customer is probably gonna take these products home and keep them for an extended period of time. It's not like a food takeout where you're probably gonna eat it in a day or two. Our packaging is a little bit different because you want the consumer to have probably at least 5-7 days of product life. So, again, we do have a supply end of our organization and a sustainability end of our organization, and they're constantly looking into alternatives, understanding we're a large chain, 360 stores. We try to look at things more globally to try to look at alternatives that we can do across the banner, right, to meet our sustainability goals as well. So narrowing it down to one store and these specific items, it's going to be very limiting to our consumers, which is all of the people in Falmouth, if they do shop with us. It's going to be limiting what we can offer to them quite substantially, because it's one location versus, a supply of.
Right, and I know the committee talked a lot about things like deli bags and chicken bags. Chicken took up a lot of time.
Nothing like a good rotisserie chicken.
Right. Well, and I mean, there was a recognition that the bag that's used now is a lot less plastic than, what was used in the old rigid
Right.
containers, and
Yep.
that was sort of a preferred approach. Question on things like the window bakery cartons, the clear clamshells and stuff. What about, I mean, have you guys looked at, I'm sure you have, the sort of mostly cardboard with a window as an alternative for some of the bakery items?
We can do that, you know, and that would be better for us, obviously, because a lot of regulations that come through, if they're very restrictive, don't even allow us the window. So as a consumer, you're looking at a box and saying, what am I buying, right?
Yeah.
You can't see it. So we do have the option to go to a cake container that does have a plastic window, and that would be much better for us and the consumer if we could do that. But again, understanding it still has some plastic involved in that container, and might even have, some of our containers have a coating, again, for longevity, because you're taking that cake home and you're not going to readily consume it in probably a day, right? Kind of like soup containers, same kind of thing. It's made for hot, so you have a lining in those paper containers that tends to be of a plastic nature because you're trying to keep it hot, not burn, that kind of thing, so.
Right, and those, the lined hot containers, beverage and soup are, I think, explicitly allowed. As are, if I remember right, the windows, so a largely cardboard container that has a window is also suitable, window bags and boxes.
Are you talking about that would substitute for something like this, the clamshell?
I was thinking about, there's a clamshell on the second page of the presentation that is flagged for bakery items.
Yeah, some clamshells are more difficult than others to get replacements for, like internal waivers for, number 1 is one of the ones we have the waiver for. That includes some of our cake containers. So we can make steps to try to reduce some of that, but there might be some items that will still have those, you know, hinge-type, clamshell-type containers.
The PET.
The LDPE.
Oh.
What? Yeah.
Oh, which ones?
That one is the one I was specifically looking at, 'cause the
There's more of
LDPE is
them right
junky.
here adjacent as well,
Yep.
similar. I think she's saying they already have a waiver for this. Number 1.
Well, yeah, what we've requested was 1, 2, and 5, and that
We
was
can do
internally
that.
granted. It's the other.
It's the 5, and so,
3, 4, 6, and 7. So 3, again, is going to be, for us, it's like food-grade film that we would package meat, produce, cheeses. When we wrap cheeses in it, it's that thin film
Yep,
that we wrap a lot of items in.
right. Yep.
And number 4 is really the huge impact is going to be our deli, our sliced deli program. Again, the bags that we use for sliced deli cheeses, we don't have an alternative for.
Right, and actually film, that is a waiver item. Plastic, including PLA wrapper film, is a waiver item. That can be handled there.
so really all there, let me just, I'm a little confused, so on this, because you can use and get under the regulations waivers for 1, 2, and 5, and then
And for films.
and for films and the bakery cartons with the windows, that's already automatic when you ask for it under the regulations.
As long as you've shown due diligence to
Right.
replace it, yes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes,
that
sorry,
can be
with due
granted-
diligence.
Yeah.
It can be
the waiver
granted-
Granted by the health inspector.
Right.
At the facility.
And so the only thing that they would need a board variance
Yeah.
for would be the LDPE, number 4, correct?
Which is the
4
bakery bags.
And 7.
Or-
Oh.
Yeah, 6 and 7,
And 6.
that's when you get into like the foam trays. We use them in meat and seafood, but we do use them in produce as well.
And
So the
that-
foam trays that we package.
And that was exempted with our styrofoam ban as well. Remember,
it
years
was?
from
It
years
was
ago, they
allowed?
allowed the meat departments to use the styrofoam, because it really isn't an alternative to
And I
the-
do remember that meat and seafood were exempted.
They were in that was a bylaw from like 10 years ago.
But I see that you do have an alternative here, a number 1 alternative for the foam trays. The bottom of the second page of the presentation, you said if number 1 PET is allowed, it can substitute for the number 6 EPS.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. We can, yeah.
okay.
There might be a couple other items under 6 outside of the foam trays, but the foam trays I think we do have an alternative for.
Okay,
And it would fall into the other 3 that we already have a waiver for,
right,
so
right.
it gets confusing.
That's fine.
It would be a number, I think the trays would be a number 2 or a number 1, so,
Yeah.
and we have a waiver for that, so that we would still fall in within that.
I think particularly though, one thing I note is the use of black plastic,
Yep.
even black PET, or
Right.
that is something that
Needs to be switched.
needs.
Just no black?
No
No
black.
Okay.
Because even though PET is recyclable, black isn't.
Black isn't simply because the optical scanner can't see it, can't differentiate it from the belt.
Yeah, we heard that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so any
Yep.
other color works.
Okay.
So really, I think it comes down to the number 4 LDPE deli bags and the number 7 co-extruded materials for the rotisserie chicken and a few bakery items. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's what I can feel.
Yeah.
Which one did you say that was? Sorry.
Under 7, is that what you said?
Yeah, so we're really focusing on the first and second pages of the presentation on page 1. The first item is the number 4 LDPE. There are 7 items there, and that's basically the deli bags, deli and seafood plastic bags. And then at the top of page 2, the number
Yep.
7 co-extruded materials, which include the rotisserie chicken, some window bags, and some window bakery cartons. I think those are the only things we really need to focus on.
Yeah.
4 and
If-
7.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, the committee, talked at one point about, like, let's figure out all the things that we think are gonna be common problems or problems we wanna make space for. And that list got overwhelming, and just felt like an inappropriate way to structure a regulation, so we went a different direction. But deli bags and rotisserie chicken bags were 2 very specific things that, the intent was to make space for those because they're very difficult to substitute out, and the substitutes would possibly generate more plastic.
Okay.
Yep.
So I am pretty comfortable with those. My only ask is that the clear clamshell make an effort to substitute
See what we
cardboard where you
can, keep looking at, and we
Yeah, because
continue to
those-
look at
those- I
alternatives.
hate those clear clamshells. They're,
I know.
they're also so brittle and.
Yeah.
Generally not very recyclable.
And seeking other colors besides black.
Yes, across the board, black is not
Yeah,
an
if
allowed
black isn't
color.
allowed, we'll
Yeah.
work with that.
Okay, so,
Is that a motion?
Could I just ask, has there been some plan at changing black? Because that's been like a common theme for the last year, I've heard.
some
That-
plan for it?
Yeah, some plan for, why do they make them black?
Oh, it's simple.
It's easy.
It looks better.
It looks better, but it also, I don't know how often it's made of actual recycling.
It displays the
components, but
food
if
better.
you're recycling things that are already a color, it's easier to add color.
So when I started in the produce department, everything, all the trays and stuff were green. And then they all switched to black, and the produce somehow popped better. And then the industry just sort of, over time, from the late 80s, just started going over to black everything, because it just, when you put it in display, it looks better.
So how does something like that get changed, since it's obviously it's preventing the recycling
Yeah.
of something that could get recycled? How does that ever change? Who do you talk to?
We talk to our suppliers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously they need volume, right, to be able to,
Sure.
change their manufacturing facilities and whatever to make new products. So, yeah, we're just constantly talking to our suppliers, our wholesalers that help us with all of this. So, yeah, it's knocking on their door.
Right.
Because we need an alternative, but they don't always have an option for one.
Right.
Again, as large scale as we're trying to do, typically.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of progress has been made. A lot of the takeout containers I get are now white.
Exactly, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that,
Yeah.
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 Baby steps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're
Steps.
still within
Yeah, it still takes,
a
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'll see changes slow. I mean, a lot of people had stock, a lot of stock to use
Yeah,
through.
and that was understood that it would take time.
But you see how confusing doing this 100 times for food establishments. It's been a lot of work for staff getting this done.
Yeah, I do get it. So, yeah, any other?
That was just
thoughts or
my other
comments?
question.
Okay.
It's something I'll definitely take back because obviously we use black across and it's something we really should get rid of, so.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like we've talked a long time about that being hard to read for purpose of
You've-
recycling. and-
You've
Yeah.
learned a lot, but you'd be amazed at how many people it still surprises
Wow.
in town.
Well,
Yeah.
and to Scott's point that it's really just for it's like,
Yeah,
it's,
it's
you know, it's a
cosmetic.
sales thing, right? The colorful cake looks better on a black
Yeah.
background, so,
Right.
that's just the way it's been for a long time, so I'll take it back to our supply team.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you want to do it as a motion, or?
I think we
Mhm,
need
we
it
need
as a
to.
motion. Yeah. Yeah.
could be a
So-
variance, right?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to allow variances for the 7 items listed as number 4 LDPE, and the items listed as number 7 co-extruded materials, finding that there are no readily available suitable substitutes for those products, and that Stop and Shop has made an effort to research alternatives. I'd also like to note that we discussed the transition of black plastic to any other color of plastic.
Okay,
Second?
second, any other discussion? Go ahead, Scott.
Number 2, the 17 items, the HDPE. Is that something?
1, 2, and 5, we already have a waiver for.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, nope, that's fine.
I'm confused, I get confused with this.
Well, I was confused when I walked in, so, but I'm not now.
You did very well, actually.
Yeah, no, you did. Thank you for your
Thank you.
effort.
And it
on
was
we need to
interesting on the
vote.
composted, all this discussion on the composting toilet, because I did environmental work when I originally started with the company. It was really, really interesting, so.
Well, that's excellent, because otherwise you would have been real bored.
No, it was interesting, because I used to work with DEP way back when, so.
All right,
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, Jack and the Beanstalk asked for a continuance.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's out of town.
Okay.
we have a motion to continue Jack and the Beanstalk.
So
Nine.
moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, IA system monitoring performance and data.
I sent out 2 letters. I
Oh, yeah,
brought them here tonight. These would be letters as we start looking at trying to improve performance. One letter was written for the homeowner of a non-complying system. The other was written to the operator of that non-complying system. And I'm just looking for comments on the letter. And the next steps would be to generate a list of those that we might see are the absolute worst offenders, to start bringing them in. Maybe it's up to the board, a couple at a time, 5 at a time, 10 at a time.
Go ahead, Scott.
Did you want to have the meeting with the operators first? I've gotten a couple responses that they were open. I
Oh.
mean, did you want it, is that how the order that you wanted
I
to do
think
it?
that's the order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when we talk about meeting schedule, you want to give me a date, because I don't think I'm going to get a lot of responses until I say they should be at this
Right.
particular meeting.
Do we have it worked out that it could be a Zoom meeting with them?
yeah, that was a key question, because some are off, Kate.
Let me get back to you tomorrow. I don't think I did.
No.
So my next step would be to develop a list of the top, say, 50 offenders, and we'll look at how bad they are, order them from worst to better. And then my idea would be to take this letter and from that spreadsheet, just meld the letters in, merge the letters in, and send, say, 5 out. See what response we get. This is after we meet with the
Right.
operators. And
I wonder if it should be after. If we send it before, we might get more of them showing up. They
Yeah.
know that they're actually on notice.
yeah, I don't know what the spread is for the worst, but maybe one for each operator, because I'm sure every operator has their bad system.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe let them know we're serious about it and they'll pay more attention.
Yeah, okay. I'll generate that list and a sample letter for next time if you make comments on that and send them to me. It's a pretty generic letter. I don't know that you've looked at it, but it basically says, we realize your system's off and not working well.
Yep.
There's some things you can do. Here are the things you can do.
If you're going to send one letter to to the operators that have systems that are not performing well, you could include a list
Yeah, for that.
for the ones that they operate that our records show are not operating as permitted.
Yeah.
And that would, first of all, that would help them. Second of all, it would put them on notice that we're actually paying attention not just to one system
Yeah.
that we've stumbled across, but in fact, we have the data for
It's a good idea.
all of their systems. And
Yeah.
it gives them then the chance to go and dig up
Before
data.
the meeting.
And then before the meeting,
Yeah.
Okay.
then they can come and we need to think about what we would be saying to them.
I
in
think
this
the
meeting.
meeting with them, as we talked about before, would be to, look, here, you got a list, we could say, you got a list of all those,
Right,
you've probably got ideas on why those aren't working, and you've probably got some that you say, darn, all these complaints they can have about owners who shut off systems, who kick them off the property, who don't want monitoring, all of those things we need to hear, so that we may modify the letter to an owner
right,
that reflects that we know that there's,
right.
That's
So-
good.
So that we're not, so we make it clear to the operators that we are aware that they're operating under, they're working under constraints beyond their immediate reach.
Right.
And that we can help them with those constraints in order to meet what the operators aren't necessarily legally mandated, but it's the homeowners who are legally mandated to reach.
right,
I mean, we could tell them that we're contacting them first before contacting the homeowner.
Yeah.
To give them an opportunity to have dialogue with us and help us understand what the issue is. And
Right.
and yes, that our next step will be to contact homeowners, including particularly those that may be making it challenging
Right.
for the operator. Yeah.
okay, so that's what I'll do then, and my next task will be to generate operator, here's how many are out of compliance, these are
Right.
out of compliance for each operator, then a letter to the operator, we understand these are the ones, this is why we wanted to pull together a meeting of you, you've been
Right.
previously contacted about that. Yeah, okay,
And all of these you're dealing with are legacy systems, nearly all of them.
Yeah.
Their required level is 19 milligrams per liter presumably.
yes,
So yeah, it'll give us a chance to talk with the operators about the new requirement for 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we'll have this discussion with people who use the banner ones
Right.
as much as we are with these, because these span the whole period where nobody gave a crap what was happening,
Right.
to, okay, now we're going to start looking at them. And we really wanted to ease into this, like, not come swinging right out of the gate, but
Right.
rather say, look, it's been 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you've monitored this, it's never worked. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
And they're mostly monitoring quarterly?
Most of them are quarterly monitoring. Some of them that were put in really early are maybe twice a year.
Well, we went down,
We did with some, but
some.
early, when I, before, way back, we weren't as sort of demanding as far as monitoring goes. We let it go as what the state wanted.
Right.
And we increased that monitoring to quarterly, probably, 5, 6 years ago, maybe? Where we consistently were asking for that. Before that, it was periodic, that, and there were some that were not even registered with us that over the years found out because the operators would start registering them.
And then we made a couple of mistakes and let one or two go down to once a year.
Yep,
And so we'll particularly in this process flag zone 2s.
yeah.
And do we want to request any action from, we're sort of giving them a heads up that we're paying attention, do we
I
want?
think the first
request?
one, as we just discussed, is in that first meeting, we say, you got the list of all the ones. We're gonna
Right.
start going from top to bottom here, so they'll sort of know which ones they're gonna hear about. Because at that meeting, we'll say, now we're gonna start notifying owners as well as you.
Right.
For specific properties, starting at, and we will have to do this little bit, bites at a time. I mean, we can't have 50 people at a meeting, so.
Right.
No, but I mean, we can notify them, notify a bunch of them and just say, we would like to, we would like to see you at such and such a meeting, and space them
Yes.
out, so that some people may have a quarter before they,
I think you just bite it little at a time, because our schedules will expand and contract at different rates, so if we have
Okay.
20 things on the
Well-
agenda, go ahead.
We can simply write in an enforcement letter, see if they actually improve, and then bring them in.
Right.
You don't need to bring them all in to haul them all in.
Monitoring event.
I have an assistant agent.
Yeah.
So that person can send out the letters and say, look, this is your data, you need to do something, your operator's been contacted, you have 60 day, well, you're gonna take time, because you're
Yeah,
doing
it's gonna
quarterly
be
testing,
quarterly.
right? And then you have to come into compliance, we can track that, and then see if, which ones got into compliance, they plugged it in, or they pumped it out after 23 years, whatever happened, right?
I mean, how,
I'm just saying, unless you don't necessarily bring the homeowners in
Right.
for all of them right
Not right
away. I think
away.
if you could order them to do a better job and see what happens then bring them in, that
Yeah.
might save some
For
time.
sure.
Otherwise, you're gonna be clogged up with
idea.
that.
yeah, no, I think it makes sense, and the question is, do we give them one sampling period or two sampling periods? Like, if somebody's at 60 milligrams per liter, and like, can they come down in a quarter? Can they come down
Depends
to,
on why that 60's there. If it's just
Right.
plugging the system in, they're gonna come down.
Meaningful progress in
Right.
one, in compliance
If
in
they
two.
haven't had it pumped in 4 years, they're gonna pump it once, and it'll probably improve for a while. Yeah, okay.
so I mean, so do we give them, like I said, do we give them 1 quarter or 2 quarters, assuming that most of them are on our quarterly system?
I think you don't specify what you're gonna give. I think you just say you need to bring the system into compliance. We'll be watching for the data.
Immediately.
Let them sample in accordance.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're going to tell them, but the question is, in terms of thinking about this as a process
Yeah.
going forward, like, are we going to give them 6 months because, and then really start chasing down those that aren't changing?
Well, if we issue the letters and then we watch what happens on the next round of sampling, which theoretically should be within
Okay.
3 months when they get the letter, then we'll see what happens, because
Okay,
one or two things will happen. It'll really increase the performance, or somebody will dilute the sample.
Yeah. So Scott, you were suggesting a non-compliance letter, is that what you said?
Yeah, well, once you get the data, you bring the operators in.
right.
Then we figure out the 5% or 10% or whatever the number is, and we slightly, well, we can do more that way. So you could never bring in more than 4 people or 3 or 4 or 5 people
right.
at a meeting.
Right.
In about 4 years, you'll be through the list. So we could just come up with a list, tier them, right? You got red, orange, yellow, and green, and we'll go from there, and we'll send them all, we can send them all out at once and give people different timeframes based on how bad their data is or whatever, I don't know, how we want to do it, and we do it, then we let it meld for a period of time, and then those that have ignored us.
Okay, I'll create the red, yellow list by operator.
By address, yeah. Or by operator? Okay.
By operator.
Sure.
Because then the.
The operator gets it first, sorry to interrupt. The
Yeah.
operator gets it first as part of the, let's talk to the operators
Right.
the process. Then they'll letter at some point, maybe this summer, whatever, we're already into March, right? So let's say this summer or May or whatever, we send out a letter to everybody, because this would be a good time to do it, because we have seasonal homes.
Yes.
So you want
I think
that
we
letter
should
to
do
go out in June-ish,
April-ish.
May-ish, June, whatever, so it's not sitting in the mailbox for an extended period of time. And then we see what happens over time, and then maybe by the next year or the end of the year, you've got some data and you can see what's happened.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But the letter, so this is the question. The letter, does the letter go to the street address, or does the letter go
Tax
to the
bill.
tax address?
The tax address.
Right.
And
so
it's
then it
about
won't
90% of the
say-
time we'll get it there, and those other 10% take 90% of the time to figure out what the actual address to
Yeah,
mail
and
it
you're
out
talking
to.
about the homeowners in this case.
Right, yeah,
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. The operators are easy.
yeah.
So the order of operations is the letter to the operators,
Bring
the
'em in.
Meeting.
and then letter to homeowners shortly thereafter, the meeting.
So the
Based
first
on
thing I'll do
priority.
is the red, yellow list
Yeah.
for the operators, by operators, send them to the operators, say, by the way, that meeting that we would like to have, here's the basis of that. I'd like to see what your feelings are on compliance, how to get compliance, your problems with compliance. Because I'd really like to hear from them is it primarily, gee, the owner never wants to see me on the
Right.
property? Or
Yeah.
is it
I'm
the
not
owner
getting
doesn't
paid.
keep the thing plugged in, or, you know,
Or
or
in
a
many-
simple, I don't know what's going on there, and,
In many cases, they will not have tried to reach compliance because nobody's made them.
nobody's made them, but just telling them they're out of compliance, they might
Yeah.
think, maybe I ought to bring some bicarb with me next time.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe I ought to
Recharge
watch
the
their water
carbon.
use, or tell them to fix that leaky toilet I hear every time when I open the system and it's running in there when no one's home. There's a lot of that. I mean, I will say the majority of times that I've ever had a problem with the system, and I've gone out there, no one's home, there's water running in that system.
Is that right?
Oh, wow.
I'd say well over half the time.
Yeah.
I go, no one is in the house. Knock on the door, there's water coming
Excuse me.
into that.
Thanks.
God bless you.
Wow.
Probably usually
That's
a
lot of
toilet.
Water leaks.
Yeah, people, you know, little toilet leak, they don't think it really, but you see that stuff running in there and you say, they could go away for a week, it's still just gonna
Yeah.
keep running in there.
Right, right.
Okay,
Okay,
so do you want us to send you feedback on
yeah,
those letters in
feedback
the
on those,
meantime?
the letters.
I think these letters are good, but they're gonna be modifications.
They're gonna be
So-
added to.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
get one for the operators that will introduce their
Right.
hit list.
And then, you know, when we have that meeting, we should probably have at least a few slides to share.
Yeah,
all right, sounds good. Anything else on that? Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Okay, next item is Short-Term Rental Bylaw Article 17, April 2026 Town Meeting. Review and discuss the proposed short-term rental bylaw. Jed, do you want to?
Yeah, you
about that
you
one?
requested that to be on the
God,
agenda.
okay. Well, okay, so there was a couple of,
Lots of thoughts, but.
So there's a couple of things. One is, when this was discussed by the Select Board initially, the chair of the Select Board wanted any authority implementation of the bylaw, which is for the Board of Health to create regulations would be also subject to select board review. And at the most recent select board meeting, I believe that that particular amendment was struck out of what was recommended for town meeting. My understanding, informal understanding, is that that this bylaw went through many substantive changes prior to being even immediately prior to being seen and by the select board, and so that the authors of this were kind of not even certain that it was really ready to be a bylaw yet. So there's some there's some probably more work that needs to be done on it.
Has it been reviewed by town council?
Yes.
Yes, it's been reviewed by town council, but I think that that it's more, not so much the legality of it as the intent and scope of it.
Okay. And question.
That said, there are actual requirements from the state now for a degree of inspection.
Yes, I can judge that. I can speak to that if you like.
Sure.
It's up to
Yes.
you.
No.
Actually, it's in the building code,
Yeah, it's in the building code.
so it's not in the health code. I don't particularly understand it, but again, my diatribe is this, that long-term rentals are much more important to inspect than short-term rentals, because there's one key thing that you can do in a short-term rental that you can't do in a long-term rental: go home.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so if there's no hot water, you can go home. Your
Yeah.
vacation's ruined, but you can go home.
Yeah.
For the long term. But for whatever reason, the state decided that short-term rentals needed to be done, I think annually, through the building code. It's not in the health code. Health code is still our 410 CMI, through the 410, blah, blah, blah.
Actually, what's interesting, if it's,
Chapter 2, the state.
Chapter 2, say sanitary
Sorry,
code
code.
410. Look at 435.
so this is actually, is, if it's not primarily owner occupied, then it's an annual inspection.
Yes.
If it is primarily owner occupied or owner adjacent,
Yep,
then there is a 5-year
yeah,
minimum certification period.
still needs to be inspected.
Where is note 5? It says see note 5.
Oh, I don't know.
Where is that?
Over here.
Are you talking about the regulation?
On the guidance, in the short-term rental guidance that we were provided.
From the
It
state.
gives the annual inspection, or the inspection period.
5 isn't gone, there's no note 5.
Right, and minimum inspection period for primarily owner occupied says see note 5, but I don't know
But
where
that,
that
if I may,
is.
that's not a Board of Health inspection. That's not a Board of Health inspection
No.
requirement. It's not a state sanitary code inspection. It really isn't under our purview at least in this sort of timeframe.
So, I mean, in general, I agree that, but realistically, all of the rentals in town should be inspected on some sort of regular basis. And they should be inspected for compliance with, the housing code, for fire, and the question, and so we don't necessarily.
We do it based on complaints. So if we get a tenant complaint,
Right.
we take those you try to get there within 24 hours, sooner if we can. So we will do inspections upon a tenant's request. It wouldn't matter whether it's short-term, doesn't matter whether it's long-term.
So we could end up in a circumstance where we're regularly inspecting short-term rentals, but we're not regularly inspecting.
Well, so this is the thing, is we should, we should, on a regular basis, be inspecting all of them.
So do you know what that means, though?
Well, on a 5-year cycle, it means another person. It means a whole,
It means more than that.
But it's a
So you have to decide, I think the town needs to decide, careful when you write this. No, the town needs to decide this. How much time and effort, right? So we have $800 million worth of infrastructure to put in. Do you want a health department right now has 5 staff members, right, and a part-timer? Do you want to go to like 7 with a third of what the town of Falmouth Health Department do is dealing with housing? doing rental inspections on a routine basis. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, so-
Should we have a public health nurse instead of out farming our public health nursing? Should we increase our food inspector to, there's other things on the ranking for me. The lowest on the ranking for me is short-term rental inspections, because it's a very short-term
Same thing.
thing, okay? It's much more critical that we do long-term, because I just went to a office building with no functioning kitchen and obviously no shower, where there was at least 20 people living in it, long-term, not short-term. Short-term is really simple. You put it on Yelp, the place was terrible, and it gets what it gets. It sort of resolves itself. It's a temporary situation.
Right.
Long-term inspection of rentals, I buy.
So,
Right, I understand what the state said.
no. So I'm not disagreeing with you. And so the question really is how many long-term rentals are there? More or less.
Yeah, so the hard part is that so in the world of rentals, short-term rentals are much easier to find for two reasons. You have the short-term tax rental list. So what we did this year, so
Yeah.
let's talk about this. 1975, the bylaw goes in, says that Board of Health has to register rentals. That bylaw's been in 75. It's been a passive registration. When I was working for Dave, we would get a couple hundred, 300. So this year, 2025, we took the state's short-term tax rental list, and we sat down and Katie grinded through that, and sent a letter to every single person on that list. And some people, it was an old list, right? So we went up to about 850, which is pretty darn good in 1 year, just passively setting it
Those
up.
are all long-term?
Short-term,
Short-term.
because it's a short-term tax rental list. You
Right.
can also hire companies that will scrub the Airbnbs of the world and the VRBOs and get you a list. There is no one who's going to give you a list for long-term rental. Long-term rental is much more difficult. The only way we know let's take a walk, like if it was a beautiful day, let's walk down Walker Street. How many people are renting their house short-term? How many people are renting long-term? I don't have a clue. Short-term, I can find out roughly by that company.
Right.
But long-term is more of an issue from a public health standpoint, and it's much more difficult to find. We probably, I would say, have more long-term than we do short-term. If I had to guess, we have 1,500 to 2,000 short-term, if I had to guess. Okay, because I got 800 pretty easily, so I'm assuming, and in that 800, there's long-term built in that. That's a total number of rentals. So let's say it was a 6-2 split or something like that, a 5-3 split, 500 to 300 split with long-term, short-term being one long. So I probably get a couple hundred people that actually register their long-term, but I wouldn't know what door to knock on to find them. But that's the more important thing, is inspecting long-term rental, in my opinion, than short-term. Short-term's just okay, so let's look at Provincetown does. They use the company, they go out and they get those short-term rentals. They charge $750 for a short-term rental. But I just say from a public health standpoint, I think there's better money that could be spent increasing the health department's responsibilities and staffing, doing other things, community sanitation-wise, or communicable disease-wise, than spending it chasing short-term rentals. But we're let me just finish. We're in a little bit of a hole or a pickle, because building and health, okay, we're all one happy family, right? We work on the community development. If building has to do it, then therefore we're kind of at default, someone's going to have to do it. They can work under the health department and do the building inspection or whatever. So it seems like we're going to have to focus on short-term rentals, the lower of the lowest thing I'm worried about in life, for these things. Now, the bylaw, I think, was originally written more as a nuisance thing. Neighbors not liking too many cars in the yard, or the noise and this and that. That has already been encompassed by the nuisance regulations. I've kind of done it under nuisance. So I think this regulation is looking at it from two things: trying to get more long-term rentals and making it harder short-term, and also the short-term acute problems in the neighborhoods.
Right.
But again, I'm not thinking about the state sanitary code and the inhabitants of the property. I'm just looking at it from a different way.
So, thinking about the priority list, though, if there are 800 short-term rentals, we'll say, that, with a registration fee of $500 a year, that's like $425,000.
Yep.
And that pays for 2 or 3 inspectors.
It does. It absolutely does.
And those inspectors can also do the long-term rentals.
Sure.
So you're using the short-term rentals to address what we think of as the more, in terms of housing, mind you, to the more significant public health.
How do we,
I understand.
interesting, how do we identify all the long-term rentals? Or even a lot of the long-term rentals?
You cannot.
And contact the owners and arrange those things?
You can't.
Then you can't necessarily, but you can use the revenue from the short-term rentals to pay for then other health department activities.
So what are you going to give a short-term rental a certificate for?
You would have to inspect them in order to make it, so you would still need a full-time inspector, so part of that fee.
When do you inspect it? Just once?
Once a year.
Because usually, you're going to have a lot of occupants in that place. I have to agree with Scott, it's like the lowest public health threat, because Jane, who goes to a house and has a lousy night, she's going home tomorrow.
I don't
other
disagree with that.
ones are-
I don't disagree with that, but because we have an acute revenue issue,
So you're just looking at it for the money. Use the
I'm
money
looking at
to
it
get
from, there's an impact of the short-term rentals on the community. Some aspect of that is health, and we can address some of the challenges that we have in funding the other health aspects in order to make it a healthy community,
You
not
haven't
just
made
for the
the
short
case
term.
that there's a health problem with short-term rentals.
It's not a health problem, but it is an impact, potential impact on the community, whether they're using.
What is that public health impact on the community?
It can be communicable diseases. We have so many visitors coming in from all over the world. We don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like it's the wrong tool for what you're trying to accomplish. The town should be, if they're really worried about public health, they should be supporting public health, not trying to find a cash cow somewhere to pay for it, because as soon as I issue a certificate to that short-term rental, which one guy could leave a dangerous situation when he leaves and the next one hits it, there's an implied warranty when you give a certificate to somebody for something. You say, this place is safe. And you cannot ensure that when you have people coming in for 2 days at a time who might leave that service provider sitting
But
on
at the moment, we're not even inspecting anything.
That's
And
right.
so, but we are also, by allowing them to be rented, we are implying that in some ways that they are safe.
No, the owner is bearing all of that.
So we can then have the owner certify things.
That's-
That's what a lot of, for example, that's what Plymouth does. Like, there is an owner, there is a certification, a self-certification that such and such and such and such has been done.
That's easy beans. It's an attestation that everything's going to be hunky-dory.
either that or you
That's a
say-
click, that's a nothing burger in terms of a click on our
Right.
application. We're going to have that stuff on there. I hereby declare that my smoke detectors are fine, and we can put all that in there. It's the question of, do you want a body to go to do the inspection? Because you can only do about 10 a day. You're going to fail 2 or 3. It's going to have to go back to them. You're only going to net 7 a day, so you're going to need to be doing this every single day, somebody just driving around in a town vehicle, inspecting the rentals. And I'm just always saying is, we're really overcompensating for the least most important thing. Was my only point to this whole thing, and I
get it.
yeah.
Question. Are we being directed as the Board of Health to pass a short-term rental bylaw
No, this is for town meeting.
That's for town meeting.
for
But it
town
will-
meeting?
But what the board-
Sure?
What they would think is there will also be maybe some Board of Health regulation around
Yeah,
that
because there's all
bylaw.
this.
So right now, let's just stop back. Sorry, I don't interrupt you. Go
So
ahead.
the other question, the requirement to inspect is state. We're not making that choice. That
And it's not in there.
exists, Right?
Yeah. So essentially,
not
okay,
in
so
here,
right now it's a registration. That's still a registration. That's not an inspection requirement. That's a registration. It's an enhanced registration that's going to ask for more detail, some of which I like. There's some good detail in there that's well thought out.
In the state.
No, in our local bylaw.
Oh, in the local.
The
Right, but
local
the
bylaw.
state, it says.
The state's
what are
mandated the building commissioner to do the annual inspections, which we might
Exactly.
as well combine forces and combine this all up,
We
which
just
So
do a
that's what
fire
I'm saying, so
inspection
it's
too
a
at the same
state
time.
requirement.
Okay, so now you're looking at, sure, now I guess this is, so we're going to charge $900 for a team of fire, building, and health to go out to every rental, thousands of rentals, and collect this revenue that's going to pay for this program. To me, still is like, I'd rather do the restaurants 5 times a year, 10 times a year. I'd rather be doing, I'd rather have 2 public health nurses doing clinics and
So if
wellness
we
stuff.
have to do, we
Option.
have
Yeah.
to do the building inspection anyway.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I get it. it's just frustrating. I'm frustrated about
I
it.
understand that, and I'm also looking at a way to get you more help, to do the things that are more impactful in a level budget, because we have a
Well, that's what we're looking-
2.5%.
Yeah. So how I determine how much help we would need is when issuing, getting this short-term rental company to help us find them and sending out the letters and getting people to comply. If it's just registration, don't need a lot, probably can do it with what we have. The problem gets to be the 10% that don't respond, right? So that's the one where you're fining, and then you're asking town council to take 72 people to court. Dennis is doing that right now. They're hauling all the ones that didn't respond to the Board of Health. They're not showing up to the Board of Health. Now you go to court. Every single one of them has to go to like court or something. How do you get the ones that don't want to comply? That's a whole admin world there. And then the boots on the grounds inspection, you're probably looking at 2 or 3 full-time people dedicated to chasing short-term and hopefully some long-term rentals. That's that's what I figured you'd need. So we need to increase this health department staff by 40% to do the rental part. Because you're looking at probably 2 full-time people at a minimum, right, to do that. And that's kind of, now the bylaw, again, we're going way ahead of ourselves because I've been passionate about this for a while, is that the bylaw doesn't do anything to require that. So at town meeting, this bylaw just is going to be an enhanced registration system. We already have the application in place. We just modify the application, okay? Because the application's asking for more detail. It's asking for a responsible management entity. I'm using the basis term as somebody within 30 or so miles to be able to manage the problems if something occurs.
Right.
And some sort of a certificate or an affidavit about a smoke detector and some other things, which right now is still registration. The building thing aside, the building is now going to require to do some sort of an inspection. I think this permit's going to be every other year in the bylaw, right? So,
Okay. So, I mean,
I actually, as this is written, I don't see it passing town meeting, frankly,
Why?
because it does both too much and not enough. And it's also been this sort of uncertain path. I mean, I don't think the Selectboard is unanimous on this. And if the Selectboard isn't unanimous on it, there's no way in hell the town meeting is going to be okay. So it's going to got a lot of discussion, and the challenge is that there may be various amendments to it, and as the responsible parties, the Board of Health is going to be asked to comment.
well, what's our job on this right now?
nothing.
Are we,
You didn't want to be a part of it. You voted not to be a part of it in 2023.
no, I remember that.
Yeah.
But can we comment on it? Is this just for our information? This is how it's gonna go?
You was requested, you asked me to
Right,
put it on the agenda.
so I think we should figure out what we want, because we are called out explicitly as part of this.
Right.
We
A number of
understand.
times.
Yeah,
We understand
It's a little
a certain degree of administrative load that may come. And we need to think about what we would say in on April 6th, which is when town meeting is.
Right.
And so
So I think we should definitely cover.
whether or not we say we recommend, we recommend indefinite postponement of this particular one because it needs some more work, or we accept the role of this, or we say we think this should be underneath the select board or under building services rather than the Board of Health,
Right.
which may be a perfectly, more appropriate place for it. And if you look at the short-term rentals, did a quick search, many of them don't use the Board of Health as the agent, but as
Authority.
the inspectional authority, but either the select board or building department. So,
Are the major problems with short-term rental have to do with a public health issue?
I don't think so either. It's just that it's housing.
I mean, a Board of Health regulation, if somebody said, hey, gun to your head, make a Board of Health regulation, I'd say, okay, everybody does get registered. Everybody gives me a certificate each year that a registered sanitarian has done their inspection, certified by, in accordance with Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code, and that would be it. But we don't see public health issues emerging from short-term rentals.
The one,
Public health concerns from long-term
the
rentals.
one thing that I do see as a public health nexus is the occupancy. Okay, we're talking about places that are beach rentals or whatever. You have a 3-bedroom septic and you're putting 10 people in there every week after week after week after week.
And are we getting people saying there's shit on top of the ground from those?
Well, we don't,
Or is it a 3-month load that any system on Cape Cod could probably take, and then for 9 months of the year, it dries out? I mean, we don't see.
We don't know.
I mean, I
So
haven't seen a complaint wastewater on top of the ground.
The complaints that we would get, well, noise would go to the police. I mean, if somebody's loud, it's generally Saturday night, and sorry, I'm not here at the office. But it would be occupancy, what the occupancy permit says. People would say you need to get into that house and check the number of bedrooms, which I can't do without a warrant or being invited in. It's not something you could just barge into somebody's house when you so feel like it. So it's mainly was occupancy, and we'd only probably get several a year. We don't get a ton of short-term
Even
rentals.
then,
I think most people.
Probably looked at the occupancy stuff, because this 2 people per bedroom thing, this isn't in the code.
No, it's in Title V. So if I may, the current bylaw states 2 per bedroom or otherwise determined by the Board of Health, and then we use the housing code square footage metric to
Square
determine
footage.
bed. Right.
You got a 200 square foot bedroom, you got 4 people in there.
Yep.
By code, you're all set. If
And I
you're
think the
total
bylaw does state, the proposed bylaw did put in the, or
2
otherwise,
people per bedroom.
it didn't put or otherwise determined by the board. They left that out, so. My suggestion was to use that, because if you have a room that's this size, you can't, you normally wouldn't limit that to 2. It could be a
Right.
bunkhouse.
You do the whole calculation.
It's also a parking-
150 square feet for the first person, 100 square feet thereafter, and
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
And there's also a requirement for a parking plan, so I guess I'll have to refer that to the town planner for review, because I'm not quite sure about how we do the parking thing. So it's a
I mean,
thing.
what I worry about is that if we do this, we're creating a whole bunch of bureaucracy
For
Not
and no
much
public health benefit.
benefit. Yeah. Well,
No
even,
public
I mean, you can think about it more broadly than the Board of Health, just benefit. What's the benefit? And the benefits are, to me, one of the things we want to avoid is having corporations come in and buy up all the houses to rent them out. That's worth preventing.
Yeah.
Balancing more towards long-term rentals instead of short-term is a good goal to have. If it accomplishes those things, that's worthwhile, but I don't know if everything else
That's
is.
a lot of verbiage for
Yeah,
accomplishing
exactly.
those 2
You just
small
say,
things.
you can't have more than 3, it says in there already. Can't have more than 3. I mean, it could be really short, right? So it could be balanced way too heavily on the level of bureaucracy versus benefit. So,
I mean, so I really do agree that I'm not certain that this is really necessary, and certainly at the length that it is.
Oh, my
And
God. Who's going to read it?
And not just the
Well,
length, but also how many people have to do how much work in order to comply with it. You know, not just for the town, but also the citizens and,
So,
you know.
I mean, so going back to the broader question of long-term versus short-term, I mean, we do want to know what our long-term rentals are because we want to make sure that they are healthy living circumstances. How do we do that, given,
No
You-
budget.
either given no budget or given, given the context of the short-term rental? Is it just the short-term rental become a subset of the rental just in general? And we add more, we say, look, we want to make sure that people are living in a safe environment. These are the rules that you have to follow. And if we find that you're not following them, then we'll talk to we'll go chase down the owners.
So you're suggesting pushing
So
back?
putting more teeth into
Having
the
a rental
rental one.
Well, for the long-term rental, I think this board in the past 3 or 4 years has done more for scaring the heck out of people for not complying, because we've issued some serious fines for owners that just decided, they'll never come after me. $250 a day we were whacking them. And you get those things, we got those corrected faster than we ever had before when, in previous days, let me say, when it was like, I don't know, do we want to go to court? No, that $250 a day, hey, here it is, write out the check. That is, in my whole tenure on this board, which is all but one term, I've never seen stuff go so fast in housing. And it used to drag out for 5, and so you get the owner in, I got to do this. That's fine. And now we say, well, if it's not done by this time, $250 a day, that's what you get. And we corrected a lot of things. We had a few sort of really odd encounters with people who said, I'll write the check, that really shouldn't have written the check. But for the most part, they get done real quick, and that's public health. I mean, I don't know how you discovered that set of people living in this house with no bathroom or whatever. Might have been a complaint. Somebody must have tipped you off. But that's how you find those things. Otherwise, I mean, I'm all for a state center code chapter 2, but a rip screen in the middle of, the summer, because every time you do an inspection, you cannot unsee what you see. And that's got to be in order. It's got to be, you'll get it done or else, or that tenant has a full right to say, you Board of Health, you're not doing what you're doing, what you should be doing. So I think doing it the way we are, which is handling the complaints, and not terribly chasing down every long-term rental. If you really want to surface the long-term rentals, enterprise, put something in there. It's now going to be a $10,000 fine for anybody who doesn't register the rental because we're tired of dealing with them. A huge fine for not doing it. What is the fine now? I think it's pretty minimal.
I don't
You
think,
catch
I think you're a
somebody.
little high on your ability to fine, but I'm not an attorney. I think it's,
$250 a day.
Not even.
well, failure to comply with the order of the Board of Health is like a $250.
Yeah, but the bylaw is a registration.
It's a
Yeah.
couple $100 failure to
It's-
register.
See, that's
Yeah.
why you increase that and make sure, and it goes on the front page. You get people saying, oh my goodness, my tenant could just dime me out and it would cost me $1,000 and I still can't get him out or her out of there?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two things going on here. One is the board, the health aspect of the stuff. And the other is the interests of the town in trying to balance things back towards long-term rentals.
Yes, I
Because-
agree, and that should be done, but the tools are not in the Board of Health. You shouldn't go to that toolbox for that end result. You should go, you want to make a law, we the people, that's what the democracy is all about. But public health regulations are written because there's a causal relationship between this and that getting sick, or somebody getting sick, or somebody getting hurt. It has nothing to do with it. Well, are we gonna go as a town toward this type of rental, or do we want more?
It's like,
It's the wrong tool. And if you start doing it this way, it's pretty transparent to anybody out there. All we're really doing is collecting money for another purpose.
it's like Title V. How unimportant Title V was during COVID to me, was it?
Yeah,
Right? How important is it that the perk test gets right and the septic calculations when I've got, 106 cases this week and, people are dying in a nursing home? So it's all relative to each other. And that's why I feel the way I feel about the short terms, is that those figure themselves out. You can only rent so many times and have your Yelp review be what they are. If you got a basement, I call it a basement, like a basement sort of setup where they don't have facilities and whatever.
egress.
Like that housing, the commercial building, how long could you Airbnb that without that self-resolving?
Right.
That would self-resolve himself in about 3 visits. These guys are renting this out with no bathroom.
So the registration that's required right now,
Yes, it's for all rentals.
okay, so that's just under regular rental.
Yep, all rentals need to register with the town of Falmouth, and it's a simple process.
Under the health department?
Yeah, and then this one, if it's passed, will still be the health department, and it'll be what I call enhanced. It's asking for more things. I'll modify the application to meet the regulation, and we would continue down the street, and we would hire a third-party company to help us find them. And we'd have the long-term regulation's not going away, it's still gonna apply to long-terms. It was modified by town council, it's another article in there, I believe. So there'll be a long-term one that's just simpler, and then the price can be separate, because obviously we're gonna have to go up on the short terms, we're doing more work with short terms than we're doing with long terms. And it'll be an enhanced registration. And then how much staff I'll need on that is all gonna depend on how deep down in the onion you want me to peel. If you want me to get every last person all the way to the court system, I'll need somebody just to do that. And that's kind of where I left it with everybody, with staff anyway.
If you want to address the nuisance issue or something, just say, hey, I think you could probably say every visit, the regulation could say every visit to your home. I mean, whatever staff time is used for that is going to be charged to you.
Yeah, we don't, for housing complaints, we don't charge anything for housing complaints right now. I don't think any town can do it. No town I know does it either. So if we get a complaint, we follow up on it and do the best we can with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I get the sense that the short-term rental fees, or the rental fees, are like prepayment for
Yeah.
complaint-based stuff.
All right, so do we take a look at
We
the
need to do anything with
long-term
this?
rental and see if we want to suggest slight modifications to that to cover some of the important bases?
You
Yes?
can do whatever you want, just remember, you chose not to be a part of the process, and now they're getting to the finish line of town meeting. But I'm just.
Did we realize, though, that they were going to put it on us to enforce this? Yeah.
Yeah, in 2023, when we put it on the agenda.
We said, our feedback to them was, they shouldn't.
Right.
But now
Twice,
they
I
have.
think twice. The
Yeah.
It's a
feedback
little
was.
bit awkward that, yeah.
I mean,
You're suggesting that somebody go there and represent.
well, I'm in town meeting, so I'm going to be there anyway.
Okay, and represent the board's views on all of this?
If I may interrupt, because they're going to ask me, and I really
Yeah.
would prefer you guys to give your opinion, not me
Right.
give your opinion for you.
Right.
At town meeting, you're talking about?
But I will probably be asked to go to town meeting to, if they ask me a question directly to me, then I have to answer it for the department. But I think the board should have the board's opinion said by the board.
Right. And as a town meeting member, I can also offer an amendment.
Uh-huh, okay.
And the amendment could, for example, to remove the Board of Health from this, from being the enforcement and regulatory authority.
Would that be a conflict of interest?
I don't know. Town meeting is,
It certainly smacks like
town meeting is a weird beast, because you can have people who are town employees voting on
their
the
budget.
budget, on their own budget.
Yeah.
And so town meeting is exempt from a lot of these because it's older than the Commonwealth.
So do we,
It's just so, sorry.
on this, do we have a clear statement anywhere of what the goals are?
Goals of this?
The goals of the bylaw, the proposed bylaw? What's trying
was
to
its
be accomplished?
purpose?
It says it's to establish an orderly process for registering, et cetera, to protect against conditions that cause or create a nuisance and to undermine the ability of residents to enjoy the property.
And then to make.
And
buildings
to make
habitable and-
operation of short-term residential habitable and safe,
Yes, and I think,
and to prevent corporate and
There's
commercialization,
Board of Health language there.
and to inhibit further reduction of stock of year-round rentals.
yeah, so you see it in its purpose. It's not really the tenant that they're focused on. I'm focused on the tenant. And the neighbors to some extent too as well, of course.
Well, to
Really,
make-
our focus is on the tenant and the safety of the tenant.
To make the rental habitable and safe would be
Yeah.
for the tenant.
Yeah.
It's definitely, the
but it's-
purpose is a mixed bag.
It
of
sure
Board of
is.
Health
Yeah.
and building department and
Real
town
regulations
planning.
for public health versus
Yeah.
planning versus, gee, we just want our town to look like this.
Right.
So Nahat, for example, says the purpose of these rules and regulations to protect the health, safety, and welfare of not only the renters and residents of short-term rental housing units, but also the first responders and the general public.
So that's clearly health.
And I don't know who else, I mean, this is the thing, is that these things are all over the map. You know, like Plymouth says, operation of short-term rentals habitable and safe for town of Plymouth residents.
Yeah.
And to identify and locate them to protect the health and safety of occupants and residents.
Yeah, and Plymouth,
So-
in the town, the Plymouth Health agent but the Plymouth Health agent presented to the committee. She feels that short-term rentals are a very top priority in public health. It's just a differing opinion.
Wow.
You know, she thought it was much more of a thing, and I said what I said. I thought in the terms of public health, the short-term isn't as much, and she didn't agree with me. And so it's a difference in opinions, and, you know, the town's gonna have to live with it long after I'm gone. I just would hate to see a health department with 5 people dealing with the 90% of the work, and we have somebody, you know, and 3 people just chasing stuff that is, you know.
Right.
That was just my big fear, and I guess I'm being a little bit of a crank about it. And, you know, that's just how I feel. But I will do whatever's voted for.
Well, I don't know if we have an idea of what we want. Well, I know George wants.
Well, and is there,
Doesn't want.
is there
I
any
just-
guarantee that the fees raised would be used expressly to fund additional?
Well, we don't do that, though.
Exactly.
No, we don't have enterprise funds.
And that's exactly what we said. The only reason we would participate would be if the selectmen committed to funding the position that would carry out the duties of it. And I know that is not going to happen. I mean, it just won't happen.
Then we're just setting ourselves up for lawsuits.
I think
Well,
so.
if I don't have the body, I'm not sending somebody out to do it. We're not going to comply. I won't
And-
comply with the bylaw if I don't have a person
You
to do
know,
it.
to me, it comes down to, would you rather see more inspectors in your restaurants, which have to do with real community sanitation, or short-term rental, which is somebody maybe one day bad experience that's going to go home to their comfortable home, or a neighbor who's going to call the police because it's too noisy, who would call, I mean, that's not the only place there's parties.
I mean,
I would rather have more inspectors in restaurants, or more public health nurses looking out for, you know, the community.
Do we as a town need to promulgate something to support
Yes.
these state regulation, or state requirements?
Sorry, the state, well, the intent was to have the Board of Health Regulation to work with the bylaw.
To work with the bylaw, right. But we're discussing that. I'm trying to figure out, given that periodic inspections are required by the state, do we as a town need to have some sort of regulation that ties to that or explains how that happens, or no?
I mean, the other question actually is would we need Board of Health regulations? I mean, it's all written out in the bylaw. The bylaw might say, I mean, if you're really doing it
Set of
efficient.
Regulations, Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code. That's the regulation.
Right. So, I mean, realistically, we wouldn't necessarily even write separate regulations unless the bylaw was the Board of Health will make regulations.
It doesn't
It
say
does.
that.
It doesn't say that. It
Right.
sets all it out.
Well,
Well, again,
no,
this
it
has been going on
says-
for a couple of years, and that was mentioned earlier, but remember, this is the second committee working on this. There was a committee previously that didn't pass town meeting, so.
I think it definitely should not, we should not write a regulation for this. It's a law passed by the town, everything's described there. If it says that this department or board will do certain things, then then we should do it. But we don't need to embellish it and add more to it and take on.
No, I'm not saying I don't.
I know you're not.
Right.
And so, yeah, if you're there and that comes up.
I will be there. Now, I mean, no, but realistically, I mean, yes, I acknowledge in some sense that it's not really a conflict of interest. I mean, it's we could decide, and I'm not going to do this on my own because it's, that we feel that it is really not this is not the right place for the Board of Health, and that there should be a different whatever, under the different inspectional services, we'd have to figure out what the phrasing would be. I'm perfectly happy to propose an amendment that reflects the sense of this board as to the proper role, if this is even going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely called out in here a number of times, one of which would actually necessitate us doing something, which is determining a licensing fee. Some of the others are that we may impose additional applications. What's that? It
The
says-
fee, the select board sets the fee.
The fee for the license shall be further determined by the Board of Health.
That's weird.
Or designee, and shall not be waived.
I request fee increases, and then the select board approve them. That's generally how we do the fees right
So
now.
that would be part of our amendment, would be to get us out of that, because that does require action. I think the rest of it is that we can do stuff.
I'd say our references to the Board of Health and that regulation should be stricken because the Board of Health already has regulations that overarch that regulation with Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code. And that's the only time we get involved with things like that. I mean, we do hotel inspections theoretically, we definitely pool inspections, we do housing inspections.
Well-
There's codes already written for it.
Right, so we have to be in here as part of the complaint process, right? And determining, yeah, because we don't have to necessarily be part of determining occupancy, do we? Is that your role, Scott? Is that so,
It's part of the existing bylaw.
or is that, okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that already exists, but,
I think that
It's
if
in the
we
housing
were to
code.
determine occupancy in a building in accordance with State Sanitary Code Chapter 2, many of the houses that people think, oh, there should only be 4 people in there could be 8 people in there legally.
Yeah.
right.
When you talk about some of these bigger houses where you're up around, 2,000 square feet and above,
You might be close to 10.
you're gonna be in 10 people.
Yep.
150 square feet for the first person, 50 square feet thereafter for a person.
That's a bedroom space.
But,
No, what,
but
habitable?
that does
It's both.
not preclude you, it's for total occupancy. It's 150 square feet first person, 100 square feet thereafter. And you don't really set the occupancy of a building on its bedrooms. You set it on its total square footage. You can limit a bedroom that has to be at least 70 square feet or 50 square feet per person if it's bigger. but you cannot limit the occupancy of a house except by state sanitary code chapter 2. And that says 150 square feet for the first person, 100 square feet thereafter.
All right, so we're starting to circle around the concept of asking to be somewhat removed from this, certainly any active responsibility.
So who's going to create the website that will allow people to upload all the requirements under number?
Already have it.
4? You already have that?
Yeah, we already online permit everything. We have been since 2022.
And then, so there'd be somebody whose job it is to check all those documents?
Yep. Right. Yep. That's
Okay.
what we do now.
But it's a lot more.
There's a lot more, right, it's enhanced, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
enhanced. Oh,
yeah.
The bylaw references the Board of Health. The bylaw should merely state the Board of Health shall enforce Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code when asked.
Well, that's what, in some sense, it does. The Board of Health may cause an investigation into complaints of violations of this bylaw and any rules or regulations promulgated hereunder, but
See, but that says the bylaw.
Right.
Right.
Violations of the bylaw.
Right.
Which really, should be complaints relative to Chapter 2 of the Housing Code.
Right.
Because I don't want to enforce a bylaw that is a law. I want to enforce my regulation because that's what a Board of Health does. There's a regulation at the state for housing. Yeah, anytime there's a complaint against that, you merely, you could explicitly say it in there, but that's a responsibility to the Board of Health. Chapter 2 says that. We're already compelled by law to do it. So why write a law that says, well, they'll enforce Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code? Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code requires us to enforce it. It's already in a law.
what's in it's a law that says you have to follow the regulation, and then it's a regulation.
It's a CMR,
Yeah,
a regulation.
right. And so this is a bylaw, which should probably be really short, and then there should be, if we were doing it, should be regulations.
I think the bylaw might reference in there for purpose of maybe information when you're reading the bylaw. Housing code will be enforced by the Board of Health as per chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code. But I would not want it to say the Board of Health shall enforce provisions of this bylaw.
Right.
Because a lot of the provisions of the bylaw are well outside what the Board of Health has any authority to do. We're not policemen.
Well, we're the only ones identified under number 10 violations.
And our authority is established, and we set the penalty, so it's all us.
It's all the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Well, the people will decide that night.
It's kind of one of those things where we weren't there, so we got stuck with.
Yeah.
Well, but again, we can, but yes, town meeting will decide, but we can heavily influence it. And if we decide on a statement,
Right.
then
Okay.
if we decide on a statement, and we don't have to do it tonight, we can, but we should do it before the 6th, so that only gives us 1 or 2 more meetings. But we can, George,
Unfortunately, what it will be is what we've said to the selectmen before. We don't believe that the bylaw has anything really to do with the public health of the community, and that without adequate endowment of more power, which we don't want, because we don't see it in the mission of the Board of Health, I don't see how it could come out as anything but adverse to what we keep hearing, that we should be involved. I mean, the regulation that references us so many times in here, the proposed bylaw, that, we already have a housing code. So, I mean, if somebody asked me on town meeting, I'd say I think it would be the lowest priority for a Board of Health to be involved in the regulation, because it's not really a whole lot about public health, and that there are other places that we should be directing our staff at the health department to be doing. I mean, it comes down to, do you want another inspector in a restaurant, or do you want them chasing short-term rentals? I'll tell you, next time I go into a restaurant, I'll be glad that there was a health inspector in there. If I ever do have an Airbnb, I'm gonna stay there one night and get on Yelp if it's bad. It's not gonna kill me.
So,
Well, that's one of the problems is fires that happened without smoke
Yeah.
detectors. I mean,
You're right.
So,
We-
fire inspections. or-
Right. Or
Which-
fire carbon monoxide.
Or-
well, egress, that's why the building department with the egress and things like that.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is going down a path that I saw I was gonna go down a while ago, is that, not only do I, work for you guys, but I also report to, if town body wants to have, so I don't wanna get onto town meeting floor if they ask me a question and say, well, it's, it puts me in a position where I don't also, I serve two masters, right? So I don't have just you, I have the town manager and I have the staff or whatever, the residents of the town is what I work for, right? And they've created a bylaw that they like. So we'll make whatever happens happen and make it work.
But again.
So will the board. The
Yeah,
board
I mean, I'll do
will-
whatever,
I think,
whatever
I
they
think,
want. It's just,
I think realistically that town meeting will listen to what we have to say as a board, and will most likely respect that.
Okay.
Even if it's to the extent of, the easiest thing would be to say, it's not ready, we vote indefinite postponement, and go back to the drawing board and come up with, rather than trying to rewrite it on the floor of town meeting.
Oh, I agree, that'd be a.
That happens
show that you
all
wanna
the
go to.
time, and it's just,
terrible.
it's not a good way of doing it. I
Right.
mean, you can tweak things, but like totally rewriting stuff on the floor of town meeting is not a great thing. And so, I think that we could go in and make that recommendation to say, look, we don't think we should be part of this because we're going to enforce the housing code anyway. There's all these things we just talked about. And we feel that this needs more work. Town meeting, there's not a rush on it. It's not going to, I don't think there's a rush on it because there's a housing code anyway, and there's a rental thing anyway. And so there are modifications that can be made.
But we should figure out,
I'm gonna make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we, between now and the next meeting, we each craft a statement, very short statement, that we would give to town meeting, and then we'll bring them all together, we'll craft the one statement, and that will be the statement somebody reads at town meeting.
Agreed.
Because otherwise, we'll beat this up for another hour.
Yeah,
and
we're
we
out
get
of
nowhere,
time.
so
Yeah.
just
Second.
each craft a statement.
I agree.
so this will be the next meeting. Okay.
All in favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that was fun.
We could throw those into an email to Scott. Just, we won't have any discussion about it by that particular venue, but we can throw them together and then we'd see each other before we get to the next meeting and beat it up when we get there.
Yeah. All right, next item is discuss our recent joint meeting with the select board. I'm not sure who put that one there.
I thought we discussed to do that last meeting. I have a note on my last agenda that you wanted to talk that, but you don't have to. You can skip over it and,
Anybody have anything they want to cover?
Do we know if any progress, if they are going to appoint a committee to discuss the equitable distribution of costs associated with the watershed management plan?
They sure seemed like they were going to do that.
It seemed like it was received
Yeah.
positively, I just don't know if
I think
anything.
the Water Quality Management Committee is going to keep them, keep on them for that. So, they were calling it a working group, I think, so as not to call it a committee. There was the question about the purple air monitors, and then the whole thing about flow neutral, apparently. I guess the answer
Sounds like it
is,
needs to be rewritten anyway.
the answer is that its state requires it
Yep.
to have one. So, we have one. So-
Right, but I wasn't sure that addressed George's concern, which is the giving away of gallonage left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there still is there still is the issue that having a restaurant with more seats doesn't necessarily mean we have more people doing their business in town, unless it brings more people into town. So it doesn't necessarily
Well,
use up our capacity.
it does in that, I mean, most people in town are not on the sewer,
True.
so it's
Yeah.
moving waste from their septic systems to the sewer.
And it uses up a nameplate capacity, whether or not it's an
Right.
actual flow.
Right. Right.
Because we know that the actual flow is not what
Sure.
is assigned.
Yeah.
It's almost like this discretionary flow. I mean, I think what I objected to most is, it's called a growth neutral or flow
Flow-
neutral
Right.
bylaw,
Yeah.
and it's not flow
It's
neutral
not.
at all.
It's,
And then it did what is, not to get back to it, that bylaw that we just see, it's putting us in the middle of something that you're not responding to it anyhow. I mean,
Right.
there was no convincing argument that they used that information at all.
At all. No, it's just, I think
So-
Amy Lowe told us, state requires it.
State required it, so we did it.
Yeah.
So just let me do it so you don't have to be bothered by it. That would be my suggestion.
all right.
Can you do
that's
it?
fine.
Yeah, because basically
not a
it's a formula.
question.
It's not a question, it's, I can answer it without you guys having to waste your
Yeah,
time with it.
let's
Let me
do
just
that.
do it.
Do we have a motion to empower the health agent to respond to those requests?
So moved.
Is it on the,
No, it's not on the.
Yeah, okay.
It wa-
We'll get it
oh.
next time.
We'll get it
Okay,
next
so-
part
time.
of
So-
We'll get it next time.
Yeah, future business, yeah,
Yeah.
you put that on the, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, all right. We didn't mention to them on the purple air monitors, we didn't mention to them that we did submit a letter that, did they get those? Does anybody know? Did they get a grant from the state for?
Yeah, we got a grant, and they've put one up, and they're in the process of finding locations and installing the next, because I've already obtained them and given them to the smart citizens already.
Oh, great.
They had a list of spots that they were trying to figure out. There's some,
You need to have
requirements.
Wi-Fi and power, and
Yeah.
there's some logistic issues with them, but, yep.
Okay, well, that'll be.
I put one on top of my
useful in-
Tesla, and I drive around town, and I'm just kidding.
That'll be useful information. But, we raised that issue, but there weren't real good solutions, except for the item law and that sort of thing. It's just kind of working around the edges. Okay, anything else on that? Review and approve minutes
there
is
was
next.
one other business, not business from the past, when we dealt with that urine diverting thing before we voted to approve that based on DEP, so I have a little update from the
Oh.
DEP. In talking with the folks at MASSTC who got the grant, Brian, who came to you before, talked about the urine diversion, I'd ask that he be allowed to come back again to give us an update.
Yep.
However, in talking to DEP about it, their application for the pilot project in Falmouth for urine diversion and getting 50 people has to have the Board of Health's approval of the whole idea. And one of those pieces of that approval would be to submit our approval that we gave to, what the name of the person is. I know that our selectman.
Oh, Doug Brown.
Doug Brown.
Doug Brown's
there,
general,
But that's not the property owner.
no, he's a general contractor.
We approved that conditioned upon DEP's approval of it.
Oh,
I would ask that the agent forward that to Brian out at MASSTC, because he needs that for the approval for the whole project to move forward. DEP said, well, we need a Board of Health approval for something before they can even apply for their provisional permit. So we can use that for an indication to DEP that we approve of this type of thing and move forward with an application. So we already did that. We voted. I just need somebody to, Scott, if you could forward them the minutes that said we approved it, or some letters saying we approve it, depending on DEP's approval. He can submit that to DEP Boston and get that project off the ground.
So our approval of that one particular house,
Will allow him to move forward in his approval for the entire project. What I would suggest is that the board bring Brian back before the board again to talk about how they're going to handle the urine, where it's going, and how he's going to do it, because that's going to require somebody from MASSTC to pump those things out, which means the Board of Health needs to approve the pumper and where it's going, and he can discuss other aspects that you may have questions about, like how are you going to do this? How are you going to pump it out? Who's going to handle it? Where's it going? And he knows all of that because he's been working with DEP as well as Department of Agriculture and the company in Boston that's allowed to take the urine and reprocess it for fertilizer, things like that. So next meeting, we should have him here for an explanation of that, because in that meeting, we should actually give an approval for that whole strategy that he'll lay out before us, or not, depending on whether you have an agreement. Because it's languishing. They've got the money. You've heard how much money they have for this. They're raring to go, but they need to get a permit for Boston. Last discussions with Boston said, we need the local Board of Health approval for a couple of these things. One is for a system, and we already have one. I said, fine, let's give them that one to start the ball rolling. And then the other thing is they're going to want the Board of Health to approve, okay, you can pump these things out in our town and take them wherever he's going to take them.
okay.
all right.
So if he could be scheduled for the next meeting, that would be great.
All right, thanks
For
for
that
that.
whole business, that,
Yeah, that's,
From the select board meeting, very quickly, did anyone think about, like, this, it's in our minutes, Peter Johnson Staub explained that the town, this is embarkation fees, that we currently get 400 to 500K in embarkation funds, much of which is allocated to public safety. And that depending on future revenue levels, there could be an additional 50 to 100 available. So, I mean, I thought the understanding was that the embarkation fees were sort of stockpiled and could be used to offset the impacts of the steamship. Sounds like they're being.
that's what it is,
That's
but the public safety, they have extra, I mean, if you look at what they spent the money on last time, it was extra fire, extra police, which I
Okay.
didn't know they had extra police. They had a number of different items, but what we had looked at before was there was nothing for a policeman down there
Right.
specifically. So.
Right, so that's what I was trying to
And
figure
that's what
out. Does
they
it
do, that's what they
actually-
spent that money on last year, is they stationed an officer down there
Well, that would have been a small chunk of it, or a
Right.
chunk of it, right?
But
I'm just trying to figure out
most of it goes to fire and some
Yeah.
broader things
Yeah,
that
broad.
I
That
scratched
was
my head trying to see
that was
how
my
they
whole
were
point.
connected.
Yeah, is,
Well, realistically, if it does, I'm supposing, if it went to hazmat response, that would be, hazmat fire response, because with the tanker trucks going back and forth, having an extra hazmat, like in
Yeah.
Woods Hole, for example, I don't know if there is one or not.
I was just
I'm
curious what the
speculating.
process is for designating these funds as being used to mitigate the impacts, the negative impacts of the steamship authority on the surrounding community.
Yeah, I think that was the
That's what
whole case of
FinCom-
why we had them before us. They were saying, look, where does this money
Right,
go?
right. They don't feel they're seeing that level of mitigation.
I don't think the hazmat thing is happening. We did talk to the fire chief briefly about that. Do you remember? Because,
That was a replacement of the foam. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've done all that. I think.
but we asked him about, how big is this risk and what would the response be and that sort of thing, and it wasn't there wasn't a specific plan around that.
I don't- they're-
So,
Well, we got a new fire chief coming in.
is that right?
They were, did they talk about that on Wednesday, or did I move that?
No, I read about it in the paper.
Yeah.
I know there is one, but they were supposed to specifically appoint.
In the enterprise. No, I noticed it's from, my son works in that department down there, Fairfax County.
Oh, I guess I didn't read the paper. That's right, I didn't read the paper this week.
All right, should we move on to minutes?
Sure.
And then, wait, on our online agenda, there's another issue.
What?
On the online agenda, it says,
I revised it.
oh,
This packet might be a bit old. No,
discussion on board and roles and chair position.
yeah,
No,
no.
that's, after minutes.
after
Sorry,
minutes. Yeah.
after minutes.
It's been a long time.
It doesn't say that here.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I revised the agenda after we had, I revised the agenda, so you might have had an older version, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a revised
I was wondering why
agenda.
it wasn't there.
Done in accordance with
Just
the
going to
open,
put it under,
Stephanie.
yeah,
It was done in accordance with the open meeting law.
okay.
I didn't do it wrong.
I don't think I had.
No, I added the rules and chair on like a Friday after the agenda was sent to you.
Gotcha.
So I emailed you the agenda, and then I said, oh, you had asked me about that. I saw that thread, and I said, well, I can revise an agenda, and I just revised it, so.
Okay.
So you can't talk about it.
I guess the only, well, maybe not the only, but on page 5, under 85 Brick Kiln Road, in the bold at the end with the motions and whatnot, Mr. Goldstone, the end of his sentence there, submitted to the state to consider Amphidrome Plus as a provisionally approved best available nitrogen reducing technology.
Yeah. So what about this, well, we'll pick it up, let's
Yeah, we'll have to
see,
pick it
yeah,
up
we'll pick it up in the next item, but this water superintendent letter, let's come back to that. Anything else on the minutes?
I think they're great. Motion to approve the minutes for February 9th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
I
opposed?
can't even find a problem with them.
Okay, so
They're perfect.
new business and schedule future meetings.
March 16th I had, so it works out, I think, I don't know why, we have I had March 16th, and I think it's our next meeting.
No,
I thought
you
it was
said it
screwed
was
up.
next week. I thought you said it was next week.
No, I looked at the calendar that I had sent to you, that you guys barely responded, but that's okay. That I said to Thomas at FCTV that March 16th and 30th, April 20th, there'll only be one meeting in April because town meeting.
April 20th?
Well, we go March 30th, and then if you go 2 weeks, it's the following week,
Oh,
town meeting's the 6th.
right.
April 20th, May 4th, and May 18th. The 25th is the holiday. We have June 8th, June 22nd, July 6th, and July 20th, August 3rd, and August 17th. So go on, yeah, do you want me to re-forward this to you? This is,
Yeah, I just, for
Is-
some reason, I have the 13th on here. I don't know
for
why.
what?
For Board of Health meeting.
13th of?
April, sorry.
Um,
No, that's my error.
yep. Okay, April.
Could be the 13th and the 27th.
It could be the 13th and the 27th. I was trying to get off the select board schedule. There was my rationale to it, but
Oh, I see, because there is a select board scheduled for the 13th. Right.
because you had someone named Jed
Yeah, sorry.
trying to get off that schedule, so I think I might have just tried to do that in April, but we can certainly, I mean, we can certainly manipulate it if you like, but that's fine. Whatever you like.
So which day?
Did I? Did I? Okay, sure, if it's the right one.
Go ahead, Amy.
Which day are we going to lock down for April? So we've got March.
We have,
I may not be here on March 30th, just FYI, but.
Yeah. So I had the 16th and the 30th of March, so coming up,
I won't be
okay?
here on the 30th of
Then
March.
April, I had April, May 6th is April town meeting. So you're meeting on the 30th and 6th, so you could do the 13th and the 27th if you'd like.
Of April?
That's also select board, but I think.
Yeah, I won't be here.
13th is, but the 27th is not. For whatever reason.
I think I'm going to be away like April 7 to 25. And yeah, and then also for May 4th, the Monday on May 4th. No, I'll be back for that. No, I won't. I'll be gone. So,
So let's hammer down April. What do we feel about April?
well, Amy and I both may be gone on March 30th. So,
Okay.
I'm definitely gone.
well, Amy's gone and I might be. So we could do,
Well, wait a minute. Let me check again. Hang on. March 30th. Oh, yeah, because that's that. Wait a minute. It's Monday. I hate how this thing lays out now. Oh, no, I am not gone on Monday the 30th. I'm gone the following Monday, April the 6th.
okay, so we should probably do the 30th then, even though I might not be here. Everybody else is going to be here. Except that in April, I'll be here on the 6th, but not on the 13th or the 20th. But then I will be here on the 27th. So, or the 6th and the 27th.
6th is town meeting.
Okay. So 27th and then everybody else should do the 13th, I guess?
The 13th, we're in April, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that more or less what we had on the schedule anyway?
I don't know why I had April 20th. I don't know why I just.
Wait, so April 13th? Yes?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
April 27 is okay?
Yep.
Okay. And we did say March 30th too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's,
So that works. And then May, I don't, if you can do 3 months is good.
Sorry, when was the earlier one in March then? Did we say?
16th.
16th?
The next
Okay.
meeting. So I'll have 3 meetings in March, 2 in April. May 25th is the holiday in May.
that's right.
So you want like May 11th and then just have one that month, you could do that too.
Just May 11th?
Well, yeah, you got the 4th, 11th, 18th. That's your choices of the,
Yeah, if we've got an April 27th meeting, then it would make, the
Yeah.
11th, and then the Monday is the 25th. I'm out of the country on June 1st. So, I mean,
so we do May 11th, then we could do June, we could do June 8th, June 22nd.
That's way too far out.
Yeah, it is too far out for me too, but
Yeah.
yeah, but-
FCTV did request a 1-year schedule, so I'm doing the best I can. But we can change it, this works. This is the furthest we've ever scheduled in the history of the Board of
Yeah,
Health.
let's just be happy with March and April.
So let's just stick with
And go
March,
home.
April, and May 11th. That's too far out
May
for
11,
you?
okay. All right,
Tentatively, okay.
yeah,
I just have powers to be to ask me
yeah,
for a better schedule.
yeah.
All right, that works.
Okay. So, yeah, I do think it would be a good step to step down from chair and see if we can elect a new chair. It's been a pleasure and an honor, for sure. But I
Are you
just,
term limited?
term limited this summer.
Okay,
like
so June.
Late June,
Right.
yeah, could be, yeah, about late June.
Typically June, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody be thinking about who would be good to, I know you keep telling me it's my job, but I don't know anybody. Everybody I've asked.
I didn't say it was your job.
And George did. And he's right, I mean, that is tradition.
It's tradition, but
I haven't been able to find anybody.
I haven't been working really hard at it, but I started talking to some people.
To fill your spot. Maybe you didn't hear, but I did talk to Ben Van Moy, who,
We should, we should talk to him
Yeah.
clearly first.
Okay,
There are perhaps options.
there are perhaps options.
okay. Good. So, yeah, I have kind of a scattered work life at this point, and it's between meetings, it's hard to be on task on these things, and I feel like we need somebody who's gonna be able to do that better. And George, I think, has paid his dues. You let us know if you're interested.
Excited about it?
No,
Were you ever chair, George?
no, I couldn't be
Oh, that's right, because you were county.
county health officer.
But he's used to it now.
So he's
Yeah.
skied, all of these years, he's skied it out of it.
Still riding it. Right.
And I think both of you are very good at staying on task between meetings, and so,
Between meetings?
yeah, it's the stuff between meetings. I mean, I just sent the letter to the select board at 4:30 today from George about ponds and the mapping of contributing areas to ponds, because I just,
You're busy.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've gotten busier.
I have, and things just got a little bit less busy because the war in Iran means that it's not safe to travel to Pakistan anymore. I was going to be gone for like 5 weeks solid
Wow.
to San Francisco and Pakistan and Rome and another place in Italy and then the UK.
Does this all work?
Oh, everything except for the UK. Yeah.
Wow.
It's all work. And I'm going to be an IPCC lead author on a chapter coming up.
Congratulations.
And I'll get
Yeah.
paid to do it.
Oh, definitely congratulations.
Yeah. And, you know, it's free work, but Yale said they'd pay me while I do it. So, you know,
It's nice.
yeah. And so things are just going to get busier. Notwithstanding, also trying to do work in Mexico, and all of a sudden there's new violence in Mexico. So some of those things are going to slow things down a little bit, but yeah. So that's the trend. And so I think one of the two of you, if you're willing to be nominated for chair, would do a better job.
We have had an offline
We had an
discussion.
offline
Okay.
I think we decided to thumb wrestle for it.
Yes, I said I would lose arm wrestling, so we had to small.
I don't know
small
about
it down. Spindly but fierce.
So what did you decide in your offline discussion?
I think it came down to the fact that actually I have more time, frankly,
Okay.
because trying to get ecotoxicology funded these days is really hard.
It's a depressing reason why.
It's a very
That
depressing
is
reason.
depressing.
It's very depressing, but I'm at 50%. So
Oh,
and it-
sorry.
It might swing the other way for me too, like later this year, as science goes, developers go, and yeah. But right now, I'm still
Fully occupied.
very overloaded, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But it might change.
So it comes down to the person who has more time.
It's a
Yeah.
little more bandwidth at the moment, yeah.
Well, and you've done it before.
I have done it before, that's true.
You know what to do.
I know where the levers of power are.
But
Such as like-
will you send your script to both Jed and to me?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that you like all your intro text.
Oh, God, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to take notes, and I'm like, oh, God, I can't remember all this. I'll have to watch TV.
As I mentioned to Amy, they've gotten shorter over time.
Well, I mean, and so the question is, we need to, did George T. said, is he out of the town, or is he?
He's sick.
He's sick.
He's sick, but he said nothing serious, but he can't
Okay.
make it.
Okay.
And I thought about that before bringing the topic up, but we have a quorum.
Yeah, we do.
And he wasn't going to stand for chair anyway, so,
Yeah, I don't think he's comfortable yet, no.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So do we have a nomination?
I hereby nominate Jed Goldstone as our new chair.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
do I nominate, should I renominate Amy as vice chair, or should we just to keep her? as
She's
vice chair?
already vice chair.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think, yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Well, I want to say thank you, Kevin, for,
Yes.
like, you have kept us on task, despite what you think.
I think this has been a blast, and I feel like because we've been getting so much done in the last, I don't know, for a long time now. So it's been great. Kind of hard to let go of it, but
Are we finally done with this behemoth?
Hopefully it won't come back.
Right.
all right, do we have any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second, do we have a second?
I know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we didn't